From 10th Planet Headquarters, we welcome you to the 10th Planet Qualifiers. Today's Jiu-Jitsu tournament consists of the best 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu competitors from all around the world. 10PQ rules consist of one 10-minute round, where all submissions are legal. No advantages, no points, no judges. If the competitors go past the allotted 10-minute regulation period, the match will move to overtime and will be contested under traditional EBI overtime rules. Overtime matches will take place with a minimum of 1 round and a maximum of 3 rounds. Both competitors will have the opportunity to submit their opponent by choosing either the back or armbar positions. The winner will be determined by fastest submission. However, if no submission occurs after 3 overtime periods, the winner will be the competitor with the fastest escape time. This is 10PQ.
We are in downtown Los Angeles at the 10th Planet Headquarters. It is the Road to El Paso for the EBI 20 Absolutes. Hey everybody, I'm TJ DeSantis along with Mike Wilson, and today we are going to crown a winner of the 10th Planet Qualifier, which will enter themselves into the EBI 20 event later this month. Mike, when I look at combat sports, I think about a lot of opportunities in the sport aren't necessarily earned. This is the ultimate meritocracy though. You know, this isn't about eyeballs, it's not about who looks good on a poster, it's about going out there winning and winning your way into one of the biggest tournaments in submission grappling.
Oh, absolutely, TJ. You know, the really unique thing about this tournament, again, is that it's a qualifier. So for the 10th Planet team, as an overall whole affiliation, the only way for their athletes to enter the EBI Absolute tournament is to win here today at the qualifiers. So it provides a really unique opportunity for maybe some lesser known people to shine.
$50,000 is on the line if one of these athletes wins here today and then ultimately gets the job done in El Paso at EBI 20. Who should we be looking for as far as the favorites?
Man, I gotta tell you guys, there's a couple of guys right off the bat that strike me as the favorites. Number one being Quentin Rosenweig. He's a 10P black belt out of Savannah, Georgia. And I'll tell you, he's got some really high profile wins by leg lock, heel hook especially, over guys such as Roberto Jimenez, who's an ADCC vet, just had a really great one a couple weeks ago. Second favorite I would look out for is a personal guy is Art Garcia. He's a 10 Planet black belt as well from Orange County. He's competed for me before. He's competed on the qualifiers in the past. He always shows out. He's a very athletic heavyweight. Dark horse for me would be Matt Horowitz, MMA pro, over 50 fights professionally, UFC veteran, long-time 10th Planet standout in the system, really old school guy, and he's my dark horse for today.
And if I've learned anything about the dark horses, do not sleep on the dark horse, because the dark horse just might put you to sleep. It is the 10th Planet Qualifier 24. It's all about the absolutes, and the Road to El Paso starts right now.
One bioorganic cognitive cognitive system of infinitesimalism consumed by the simplest shit. Loom in the dark, Lucifer's aloofness and heart. My tongue will suffice, afflicted by the will to survive. For every cruelty inflicted, redirection and flight. Retribution retrofitted for more than physical fights. The fusion of life experience and fiscal insight. The future is bright, fuck yeah, I'm casting the light. Producing a score, starring like I need an encore. Navigating the waves till I arrive on the shore. Step over the graves, peaceful knowing no one is saved. Pero listo, no me rindo. Know what I'm saying? My upbringing on the East Coast, foster the beast mode. Never forget to represent for my people. Show some respect, this main speaker is keynote. Plus he's been puffing on that OG weed smoke. Swing low, sweet chariot till we croak. It's G-code, homie, only thorough amigos. V5-0 from, fuck you and then some. Giant aspirations got you playing the victim. Bliss comes and goes when the passion is low. Sorrow is sweet sedative, price right medicine. Evident in the way that you pine for attention. Get rid of the chip on your shoulder, playtime's over. Tonight it is. I'm jumping in. Look, it's time to start with the old, innocent with the new, and the sound cliche.
The 10th Planet Qualifier is made possible by the 10th Planet Network. 10thplanetjj.com/techniques. Extra rounds from UFC Fight Pass. Eddie Bravo's instructional series, Mastering the System. Shamanic Vibration Jewelry. The Texas Butcher. And of course, the 10PQ is presented by the Grappling Network.
Don't stop, only someone cutting them checks out, let's go. And I know you hear me, can you see me? Is this really you life if you a fan and you feel me.
We're doing a 4-man bracket to get into the 16-man bracket. So this 4-man bracket is for the 16th spot, the last spot in the absolute 10 PQ. You know the rules. There are no rules. Except you can't squeeze nuts. That's our only rule. Cannot squeeze nuts. Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Haas.
Here we are live in the belly of the beast, 10th Planet HQ, downtown LA. Hey everybody, I'm TJ DeSantis along with Mike Wilson. It is the 10th Planet qualifier number 24, and today, Mike, it's all about the absolutes.
All right, winner by heel hook, Shigolli.
So I countered from his knee bar attempt. You know, I love leg locks, like feet are rubbery, but I counter his leg lock attacks. I like him attacking my legs so I can counter if I enter his legs, tap him out, but if Tarek wins, I'm excited for a match against him. Thank you for having me.
You ready? Let's hit it.
Today we got a really exciting bracket coming up for guys. 10th Planet qualifiers again for the Absolute show coming up. We have about 19 guys in this open bracket, and that created a situation where we had to do a 4-man runoff in order to find out who would be the number 16 seed in the actual tournament itself, the bracket itself. All of these guys are 10th Planet competitors looking to punch their ticket to the big show. This is a really unique tournament, TJ, because you know there's no way to represent the 10-piece squad unless you win this tournament.
And you got an anxious Eddie Bravo, I think, Matt's side. He never really likes to talk about 10-on-10 crime, but that's all we got today.
Today is very, like I said, they're unique tournaments in that, we are 10-on-10 crime today, and it's something that, is a bit of a inside joke at 10th Planet when we're competing in different tournaments. We want to try to keep our friendships and everything of that nature, and at this point they're just ready to get after it and punch their show to the big show.
100%. And as we mentioned in our absolute qualifier today, a spot on the line at EBI 20, which has a potential $50,000 prize on the line if one of our competitors are able to get there and then obviously be successful. But not only is the money at stake, but notoriety and fame as well. I think about a guy who's won this in the past, Gordon Ryan, really rose to success by winning the EBI Absolutes, and I'm sure every single one of our competitors here would love to be on that same level as the king.
100%, TJ. I mean, if you're looking at the bracket for EBI Absolutes coming up, you got guys who are elite world champions, a lot of huge dudes. Giancarlo Badoni, who just won ADCC, he's confirmed in the bracket. Kyle Boehm, who's an ADCC veteran as well, is in that bracket. There's Roosevelt Souza, who's a gi black belt world champ. So there's just a lot of elite big dudes in that bracket. So I think today we're going to see, somebody is going to punch their ticket regardless, but I think it's going to be a really interesting test, and we're going to see some guys hopefully stand out.
What I think is cool, too, is, at the top of the show, we're talking about this being the ultimate meritocracy in sports. When you look at, wanting to capture a title, capture the opportunity to even get a title, here you need to earn it. It's not just, it's the Eddie Bravo Invitational, but Eddie's not just inviting his favorite students. Like, you want to go out there and take it, you got to go out there and take it.
No, you have to. You have to be really about it, and you got to, prove your worth. This is the proving grounds for the 10th Planet team as a whole, as the affiliation as a whole. Like you said, there's no favoritism here. It's an open tournament.
Start tilting and move him around a little bit.
He doesn't want to engage.
Halfway. Let's move it to the center. Look for a 2-on-1. 2-on-1, strong butterfly hook. There we go, I like that more. Play your game, Gary. Try to work our foot up the middle. Pass side to side. Left knee up the middle. Left. And you know what we'll do? Watch that knee slice. Watch that knee slice too much. To give them a rest, we'll start the bracket. Just go whatever match you got. So we can just jump straight. So we got to figure out which two are going to come after him. All right, I know which one is for. Okay, maybe one, maybe you could talk. I'll watch. Yeah. Prepare the next match. Back step on right leg, go to front headlock. We're going to start with the matchup from the absolute bracket to
give whoever wins the rest.
Guillotine to go.
So we're going to start the absolute bracket.
1 minute to work.
Sam Barbosa, Mike Lady.
Sam Barbosa and who?
1 minute.
Mike Lady, Barbosa, you guys are next.
We can walk around to the back and keep the hips low. So we'll push hips back a little bit, walk around to the back. Let's get that right leg in there. There we go. We still got 40 seconds unofficially. Leave that right foot in there. Leave that right foot in there. Keep
30 seconds.
Keep working, Derek. 30 seconds. Spider walk that left hand.
Short time, 17 seconds left. 17 seconds
Give me a
left.
face crank. Give me a face crank. Chest to back connections.
10 seconds. Three, two, one, time. Run back, please.
Nice and tight here.
Timekeeper,
Hips to his shoulder.
You ready?
Chest to his elbow. Pump your chest to his
You got what you want?
Get tighter.
You got what you want. Ready, set, go! Time. 21 seconds. What do you want?
Who's the official time?
He is.
21 seconds?
Yeah. Wait.
Mike Johnson.
I want you to turn this way. All right. Timekeeper, you have
Conflict
what you want. You have what you want. Ready, set, go!
Stack. He's got no post hand there. Stack. Put your head over his head. He's got both hands under his back. 10 more seconds, Derek. Hold on for 10 more seconds, please.
Countdown. Countdown.
Stack him, Derek. Stack him.
Countdown.
Stack him.
2, 1, time! All right, winner by, well, Swifty Lock. Derek right there. Hold. All right.
Hey, buddy.
Yes, sir.
So tell me about that match. Congratulations.
He was very uncommittal to things that weren't leg locks, and so it made it a really defensive match for me. In particular, anytime I would get up on a foot, he'd just try and dive underneath, so I was trying to stop that best I could. Ended up getting a little bit of offense at the end, not enough time to do anything with. Overtime, he stacked up into me. I got him with the dead orchard Swifty lock. I've done that a few times at this tournament, at other tournaments. It's one of my go-tos.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Here we are live in the belly of the beast, 10th Planet HQ, downtown LA. Hey everybody, I'm TJ DeSantis along with Mike Wilson. It is the 10th Planet qualifier number 24, and today, Mike, it's all about the absolutes.
All of these guys are 10th Planet competitors looking to punch their ticket to the big show. This is a really unique tournament, TJ, because there's no way to represent the 10-piece squad unless you win this tournament.
And you got an anxious Eddie Bravo, I think, Matt's side. He never really likes to talk about 10-on-10 crime, but that's all we got today.
Today is very, like I said, they're unique tournaments in that, we are 10-on-10 crime today, and it's something that, is a bit of a inside joke at 10th Planet when we're competing in different tournaments. We want to try to, keep our friendships and everything of that nature, and, at this point, they're just ready to get after it and punch their show to the big show,
100%. And as we mentioned in our absolute qualifier today, a spot on the line at EBI 20, which has a potential $50,000 prize on the line if one of our competitors are able to get there and then obviously be successful. But not only is the money at stake, but notoriety and fame as well. I think about a guy who's won this in the past, Gordon Ryan, really rose to success by winning the EBI Absolutes, and I'm sure every single one of our competitors here would love to be on that same level as the king.
100%, TJ. I mean, if you're looking at the bracket for EBI Absolutes coming up, you got guys who are elite world champions, a lot of huge dudes. Giancarlo Badoni, who just won ADCC, he's confirmed in the bracket. Kyle Boehm, who's an ADCC veteran as well, is in that bracket. There's Roosevelt Souza, who's a gi black belt world champ. So there's just a lot of elite big dudes in that bracket. So I think today we're going to see, somebody is going to punch their ticket regardless, but I think it's going to be a really interesting test, and we're going to see some guys hopefully stand out.
What I think is cool, too, is, at the top of the show, we're talking about this being the ultimate meritocracy in sports. When you look at, wanting to capture a title, capture the opportunity to even get a title, here you need to earn it. It's not just, it's the Eddie Bravo Invitational, but Eddie's not just inviting his favorite students. Like, you want to go out there and take it, you got to go out there and take it.
No, you have to. You have to be really about it, and you got to, prove your worth. This is the proving grounds for the 10th Planet team as a whole, as the affiliation as a whole. Like you said, there's no favoritism here. It's an open tournament. Anybody who's a 10th Planet competitor, as far as, they train at a moon, and they also... All right, just getting word from the big guys that we're going to be starting in a couple minutes. They're working on getting the finals of the 4-man bracket. So a little info to our listeners out there. We have about 19 guys in this open bracket, and that created a situation where we had to do a 4-man runoff in order to find out who would be the number 16 seed in the actual tournament itself, the bracket itself. And right now we have the finals of that 4-man runoff. We got Derek Rayfield in the red taking on Pat Shigolli in the blue.
And we've seen Derek Rayfield on the EBI and Combat Jiu-Jitsu stage plenty of times before, but today he is trying to make his way to El Paso to get in this EBI Absolute tournament. And as you mentioned, he's got to go through Pat Shigolli here, who was already victorious. Both these men competed earlier today. This is the finals of that 4-man sort of play-in tournament. And, Pat and Derek were both really impressive in the first matches. Yeah, they both got some good stuff off. Pat came in with an early, super quick heel hook submission over Jason Patterson. Nice little throw-by attempt by Shigolli there. And then Derek Rayfield went into overtime versus Garrett Wallner as a 10P brown belt from HQ. Derek with the guard pull there. See what Rayfield has up his sleeve on his back. We've seen Derek get very creative in the past, and now he elects to stand. Yeah, Derek is one of the more unique 10th Planet competitors. He's been in the system since he was about 8 years old. He's 19, about to be 20 pretty soon, and so he has grown up really in the 10th Planet system. And those who have watched Mastering the System for years and years, they I'm sure remember Derek as a young kid triangling himself in the Mastering the System videos with Eddie. And he's just grown. He's lived in Las Vegas under Coach Casey for the last 5 years, 6 years now, all through high school, wrestled, got second in the state championships in Nevada. That's why also I lived and taught in 10th Planet Las Vegas. So I know Derek very well. I actually coached him for a couple of these qualifiers in the past where we've won. And he's represented at 170 pounds, at 185 pounds, and he walks around at about 170. So he's, for him to be in the absolute tournament doesn't surprise me, because Derek really does not care about the weight class. And he's always up for a challenge as well. He rolled in here to 10PHQ today, and the bracket wasn't even really completely finalized. When you think of a name like Derek Rayfield, you think he's already going to be in the qualifier, but we see him here trying to actually secure the spot even to get into the 16-man tournament. Exactly, yeah. He's doing the 4-man runoff because, like Eddie explained it earlier today to us, it's not just the accolades. Derek, again, he's been in EBI, he's been in Combat Jiu-Jitsu, he's had matches. He was actually a semifinalist in one of the Combat Jiu-Jitsu. So, he's got a little more of a name than I would say most of the people in the bracket, but he's a smaller guy, and most of these guys in the main bracket are black belts and or heavyweights. And so just based on that seeding, Eddie went ahead and put Derek in the 4-man runoff, and here you go. His opponent right now, Pat Shigolli,
He's the heavyweight adult finishers champion for the finishers organization back on the East Coast where he's from. And I believe Pat's like 17 right here.
I mean, it's weird to actually call a match with Derek Rayfield when he's not the youngest competitor involved. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That's so strange. Normally, Derek's the young buck in all these crews, but Pat Shigolli's bursting onto the scene. Like I said, he's had those matches of finishers and flow, and he looks extremely technical.
You talk about Derek being in the system since he was 8. It's getting to a point now where if you want to be a competitor at the highest level, you want to get in at single digits. You want to be training from a young age.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, TJ. And if you take a look at ADCC and some of the young kids who are doing really well this year and qualified, you got Cole Abate, who was a 16-year-old winning the trials. Obviously, Nicky Ryan has done that in the past. Baby Shark is another young guy at ADCC. So we're closely approaching that point, I think, in grappling and jiu-jitsu that in order to be a real black belt world champion or an EBI champion, we're approaching the point where you have to have started as a youth.
Right. No, 100%. I mean, you look at the Rotolos. I mean, they were young kids on the mat. It's just the younger the better. It's back in the day, I grew up in the Midwest. You wanted to be wrestling by the time you were 8 years old.
Of course.
Now you want to be doing both hand in hand, wrestling and jiu-jitsu.
Absolutely. And yeah, the Rotolos. That's a good example of kids who were homeschooled from a young age, made jiu-jitsu their life, and a lot of people question the parents and all that, and now look, he's one of them's an ADCC champion, the other one competed at ADCC. Nice little bump and pass by Pat Shigolli. Pat's pretty physical, and his dad is one of the main guys behind Sogi, which is a small tournament on the East Coast. They're picking up steam. They train out of 10th Planet Long Island over there in New York, and I've just heard a lot of good things about these guys, and I'm excited to see him compete here live. Derek doing what Derek normally does, which is let people smash on him and get tired, and then he escapes. And Derek is like one of the more cerebral, confident guys when being put in bad positions.
Sits back for a leg, does Rayfield, and then bails on it. With the experience of Rayfield, you got to believe that the deeper the match goes and the closer it gets to overtime, the pendulum might swing his way as well.
Oh, there's a tight steam and lock attempt, but Pat doesn't seem too concerned with it. Derek forcing the roll, forcing the back take by rolling through. Like I said, we're going to see a lot of 10-on-10 crime today. Derek absolutely has no problem putting 10-on-10 crime together. He's done it many times.
And we talk about, kids wrestling at a young age.
False reap action coming through for Pat. I'd like to see him hook that Derek with the good counters.
I was just saying, the idea of competing against, teammates, and maybe not direct training partners, but against teammates is not something you hear often in traditional combat sports like MMA. But, in the wrestling world, you had to, fight for your spot. You had to fight your buddy sometimes to get that wrestling spot.
Oh, yeah, you got to do a wrestle-off. I mean, think about just being in high school, and I wrestled in high school as well, and it's like, you wrestle for your spot. There's a wrestle-off for the varsity spot. And so it's just kind of common, and, that's one thing that's unique, again, about 10th Planet, I think, is that we have these, publicized in-house tournaments where we're not holding back. These guys are really going for it. A spot on the line for the EBI Absolutes with a potential of $50K in that tournament. So, these guys are going to go for it.
Nice bit of action here. Shigolli goes knee on belly.
Rayfield just taking his time. Derek's just always very relaxed. Doesn't matter if he's mounted or knee on belly or whatever. Derek's just kind of just fine with wherever he's at.
I think he finds comfort in discomfort, to be honest with you.
He does. He definitely does.
Shigolli stands, then comes back down with that knee across the body, goes to side. Trying to attack maybe that far arm of Rayfield. Bails on it.
These guys, it seems like they definitely have respect for each other, because there's been a couple of lulls where, I think they give each other opportunities. They want to see what each other's got on top and on bottom. And Derek, Derek's got the wrestling as well. Like I said before, he finished second in his senior year in high school and Nevada State Championships. And now he's just kind of focused on jiu-jitsu and MMA.
Shigolli steps over to mount.
Heavy hips. Shigolli. And, this is a position Derek plays possum from really well, because he gets their hips elevated and then starts attacking into different leg entanglements. There's a little bit of that kipping escape right there. No legs behind it, but
some inversion drills.
Interesting style matchup between these two. Bit of respect, as you mentioned. I think both of these guys not getting too over-aggressive and leaving anything behind for the other to take.
Yeah, I think, you know, they're both young guys that kind of have, it seems like they have a lot of respect for that. Nice entry. We're in a 50-50 position. Shigolli's going to force the roll. We're going to get out of bounds at some point, perhaps. Tough to see from our angle. Derek's fighting the hands, which is not the best way to defend inside heel hook in 50-50. You want to use your secondary leg. In this case, it would be Derek's right leg, which he is sitting on. The thing about it, though, is Derek defends things in somewhat unorthodox fashions because of his unique flexibility, TJ. He's got insane dexterity in his hips and his knees. As you can see right now, he's basically got his toes in his mouth. And he just hugs that leg. I also have seen this defense only from one other person, and that's Gio Martinez. He's defended inside heel hooks from 50-50 with the same technique where he's able to hug his own entrapped leg to the point that he's hugging it so close to his body that there's no way for the opponent to isolate it and begin to get a grip. And like I said, Derek has just got that unique flexibility that people are born with.
9 minutes down, 1 to go here in regulation. I mean, a minute, plenty of time for one of these guys to lock up a submission. But if this goes to overtime.
Ooh. Yeah, Derek almost got caught sleeping right there. I was just going to say a minute's plenty of time. Oh, wow. Inside heel hook by Pat Shigolli.
Rayfield in a ton of pain. Taking a look at him and Shigolli showing some sportsmanship. Rayfield embracing him.
Okay.
What a huge victory, though, for Pat Shigolli, who is now on his way to the tournament. Wow.
Pat Shigolli punches this ticket into the main bracket with an inside heel hook.
It happened just like that. Nicely done. Pat Shigolli, we'll see him in the 16-man tournament, part of 10PQ 24.
Very impressive. 2 heel hook victories in regulation, one very quick in the first round, and then this barn burner with Rayfield. Pat Shigolli really impressing me.
We are here mat side inside the 10th Planet headquarters. Again, the Absolute Division taking center stage early this afternoon. A spot on the line at EBI 20. Again, TJ DeSantis along with Mike Wilson. And now our tournament is finally set in stone.
That was fucking insane. Ain't no fucking way that's a blue belt. That motherfucker was doing false reef, back steps, hip switches. Oh, bro, what the fuck was that shit? We were standing over him right to a bolo? Bro, get that shit out of here, bro. That's crazy. I ain't never seen no one do Derek like that. Derek's always a problem. That looked fucked up. That was fucked up. I'm literally like in shock. Yeah, that kid can win it all. That kid can win it all for sure.
The Absolute Division taking center stage early this afternoon. A spot on the line at EBI 20. Again, TJ DeSantis along with Mike Wilson. And now our tournament is finally set in stone, and that's what I love about the tournament. You never know what you're going to get, and today we get a bit of a surprise before the tournament actually even begins, in a way.
Yeah, we did. You know, again, there was 19 guys. It was a 16-man bracket. We had to do a 4-man runoff, and Eddie Bravo himself kind of seeded, you know, the 19 guys and decided those 4 dudes, Pat, Jason, and Derek and Garrett, were going to be the 4 runoff. We saw Derek with a overtime victory over Garrett, Pat with a inside heel hook victory over Jason Patterson, and then in that runoff final we had a barn burner, right? Rayfield versus Pat.
We talked a little bit about favorites at the top. Why don't you recap a little bit, Mike, on who we should look for to do big things here today?
Yeah, so I have a few favorites here in this absolute bracket. You know, these guys, again, there's a lot of black belts, a lot of bigger dudes, but a couple of standouts to me. Number one would be Quentin Rosenweig from 10P Savannah. Quentin's got some heel hook victories over some really big names. He's actually beaten another 10th Planet black belt, Kyle Bohm, who's a very big name. He was a recent ADCC veteran, and he's also submitted Roberto Jimenez back at the Auden Invitational about 3 or 4 years ago. Again, Roberto, a high-level expert, just competed at ADCC recently. So Quentin's definitely, I think, in my opinion, the number 1 seed. Coming in number 2, I'm going to say Art Garcia. who has competed quite a bit. He's competed for me in my events. You know, Art's a heavyweight black belt from Orange County. I've seen him compete against many, many black belts. He's been in the 10 Planet qualifiers, been in 10 Planet duels before. I think he's up there. A nice dark horse in this division might be Sam Barbosa, who I think we might be seeing up in the first match. Sam Barbosa is a brown belt from Jacksonville and a professional MMA fighter. I believe he's like 6-0 now, on his way to the UFC Contender Series. So he's very, very big in the Florida scene, competes a lot. I believe he just won a local pro tournament down there for $2,500, beat some high-level black belts just a couple weeks ago. I did catch a little bit of that. So those three guys are kind of the big standouts for me in this division.
You know, when I look at the tournament, we always sort of see dark horses and favorites. Sometimes they succeed, sometimes they overperform, sometimes, you know, you get the unexpected. But in an absolute, I think that's even got to be more magnified because the weight plays a factor. It's not just, you know, you're a brown belt against black belt, so the brown belt is maybe the underdog. There are intangibles in this tournament that can sort of change things up, and you know, we might see some unexpected things just from different style matchups because of size.
Absolutely, yeah. Styles make matches, styles make fights, as they say, and I think we just saw that right now with Pat versus Derek. I mean, Derek, he's been in EBI, he's been in CJJ, he's probably the biggest name on this bracket, to be honest, and he was in the four-man runoff against, you know, 17-year-old Pat Shigolli, blue belt,
right?
And you know, we saw him just take the victory via heel hook submission. So I think styles do make fights, and size does play a factor. You know, like you said, TJ, those guys who are lower belts aren't necessarily the underdogs just because of their belt rank, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be a lot of different dynamic matches. Not a lot of super small guys in this division. There's one or two that are kind of smaller, but for the most part, I think there's a lot of heavyweights and guys around 200 pounds. I know Matt Horowitz is in this division as well.
Right.
Veteran of over 50 pro MMA fights, former UFC veteran. I know we've seen him back in the day quite a bit.
Yeah.
Me and you, older guys who go back a little bit. He's going to be in here, and I think he'll be an interesting match as well.
No, definitely excited to see Matt Horowitz, a name that, like you said, has been around for a very long time and someone who's been very committed to jiu-jitsu throughout his entire MMA career. So we'll see him take the mat a little bit later on. And again, a huge spot on the line at EBI 20. The Absolutes headed your way later this month, a potential $50,000 prize, and the road to El Paso. It goes through to 10th Planet HQ today for the 10th Planet qualifier, and excited to have you here along for the ride. Again, TJ DeSantis along with Mike Wilson. You want to get at us on social media at TJ DeSantis, at 666jiu-jits.
That is correct, yes, sir.
Use the hashtag 10PQ24.
And we're working on our first official match of the 16-man bracket. And I believe we're going to have Art Garcia, who I was just speaking of earlier, 10th Planet black belt out of Orange County, taking on Fedor Nikolov. Now, Fedor is something of an enigma here at 10th Planet HQ. Fedor showed up from Russia, didn't have any contact info ahead of time, just kind of showed up one day wanting to train with Eddie Bravo. And, you know, next thing you know, he's been here on and off for the last basically 2.5 years, all the length of the pandemic. And, you know, he is quite the reputation locally. I've seen him compete at Naga and break a dude's ankle. And he's also got a little bit of that same touch here from 10th Planet HQ. Another competitor in the bracket today, they were rolling at 10th Planet HQ, and there was a Kani Basami gone wrong where Fedor accidentally broke another competitor's leg. So he's got really good technique with breaking power, TJ, and that's something that is very dangerous, as we see Art Garcia blast double him to his back. That being said, again, Art Garcia, no slouch on the ground. He competed for me at SOS 4, hit an amazing rolling knee bar into heel hook. That was the major highlight of that event, submission of the night. And Art's just experienced. He's a tough guy. He's a big guy.
Fedor working this rubber guard here.
Now, Fedor here setting up his mission control. He's controlling his shin nice and high up Art's back. Looking to create an angle. Art's doing really pretty much the right thing and keeping his elbows and his hands based on Fedor. Elbows in, trying to regain some posture with patience. You know, the thing that makes the rubber guard so dangerous is a lot of people start freaking out and rushing, and that leads to a lot of opportunities from the bottom. Art Garcia, again, 10th Planet black belt, he knows the rubber guard, and he knows to take his time when defending.
Fedor bails on the mission control position, now back to close guard.
And it'll be an interesting matchup. I believe Art's walking at about 230, 225-ish, and Fedor right about 200. So definite weight advantage for Art. Fedor's got that long, lanky body type. And I've seen him mostly play bottom position in his competitions and attack the legs. So it doesn't surprise me to see him going to spend most of his time working from the close guard.
Fedor trying to bring that guard up a little bit higher. Thought he was maybe going to try to cut an angle, but he's still got this head control and keeping the posture of Garcia low.
Like I said, Art just taking his time, being real patient and no rush. He understands the consequences of rushing in rubber guard. And now he's regained his posture. And Art's got that cerebral approach to jiu-jitsu. I have seen him hit quick subs, like I've said in the past, heel hook submissions. But he also has a very patient game as a big guy. You know, when you're a heavyweight and you're running a school, you're a head coach at an academy, you know, you're going to slow a lot of people down. You're going to put them in the mud. And I think Art's really good at that.
They're rushing back to his mission control position here in rubber guard.
I would like to see Fedor zombie Art's right arm. So Fedor needs to use his left arm to punch up and get that zombie on Art's right arm in order to really have a good control here. He does not have that zombie. Art's keeping his hands locked and his elbows flared, his lats engaged, and he's able to regain his posture.
You can see Fedor very active off of his back, but Garcia not really giving him much to actually move with or you know, progress with.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are going to think, you know, this is kind of stalling, but really it's strategy for Art, okay? Because you got to understand that he knows rushing, and as I say that, he begins to start passing, opening up the guard into half guard of Fedor. But like I said, that few minutes was Art taking his time and not putting himself in a bad position, eventually getting what he wanted, which was to open, and now we have Fedor back on his feet.
See what happens here as these two men go back to the feet, and the wrestling department will kick back in.
And like I said, I've seen both of these guys hit rolling. Nice explosive double from Art Garcia.
Right back into that guard of Fedor.
Boy, that was like a house falling down.
It really was. Fedor goes for the ride, though, able to establish that guard, though, as soon as he hits the floor. And really, this is pretty much where the match has taken place throughout its entirety, inside this guard of Fedor. Now trying to bring his legs high. He's got wrist control. Knee shield in play here for Fedor.
Yeah, he's going to play a little half here. Art looking to keep control of Fedor's bottom side arm in order to start progressing past that knee shield. Art's doing a good job of hand fighting, and that's what it takes from this position, is actually controlling Fedor's right arm, his bottom arm in this angle, in order to start passing that top knee shield. Art grabbing the head and the chest, rolling those hips. Still
Almost
sliding.
there.
Still sliding.
Wow,
Fedor,
nicely done by Fedor. Doesn't let him get free of that guard. Still in half.
good retention there by Fedor. But I like how Art is kind of lulling him, if you notice. I think Art takes his time, goes real slow, is real patient, and then explodes, like those two double legs, like that guard pass attempt. And here's Fedor's hitting that, looking for that zombie. He's trying to get that left hand to that zombie, but Art is just not letting him have it.
You know, when you are in a tournament like this, you could be competing, you know, up to 4 times. What mental preparations do you have to go through?
Ooh. And here's a New York position that Fedor has Art in, and he's going to transition to the omoplata. Art postured out. Good attack.
Garcia wise to it.
It's a really good attack there. Art actually planted his right hand on the floor and gave Fedor the free New York position in 10th Planet, which is basically gives him that control of that arm on accident. And we call that free New York.
Fedor trying to go 2-on-1 on that left arm of Garcia. He bails on it.
Fedor with the rubber guard with the foot trapped, freeze it. Okay, starting to climb, locking in that diamond position. Art driving in, trying to get his shoulders back inside the hips of Fedor. And I would like to see Art switch his feet. He's got his, there we go, he drops that left knee so that he can adequately pressure.
This match has sort of settled into a pattern. Nothing really has progressed to the point of anyone being in real submission trouble. What would you like to see either of these guys do to, change this pace?
Well, I think, to be honest with you, like I said, TJ, is like Art is doing the right thing. He's being patient. He's trying to work his guard passing when he's able to set it up, but otherwise he's not exploding and being impatient in Fedor's closed guard because he recognizes the danger that he could be potentially in. And now you see Art Garcia with posture. So now he's got posture, I expect him to start opening. I wouldn't expect Art to make any attempt at opening while he's broken down and being controlled. Like we see right now. Here he's starting to be broken down and controlled. Art's not going to make any attempt at passing until he regains that posture. Fedor's doing the right thing by playing his game as well. Both these guys are doing the right thing by sticking to their game plan and trying to put themselves in the best position to win. Technically, I think Fedor could possibly be attacking both sides a little more. It seems like he favors his left side rubber guard. And as I say that, he is climbing up into a possible, I don't want to say dead orchard yet because it's not there, but it's possible. And now he's got to reposition. So I think that's the main key here for both guys is just continue to play their game. It may be a bit of a more boring match compared to the Rayfield and Shigolli match we just saw before this, but there's high level of technique going on, and I think our viewers understand that.
Some say boring, we say tactical.
Very tactical, very strategic.
Now standing is Garcia.
Little inversion from Fedor. He's looking to invert, get under the legs.
Almost gave up his back, though, and Garcia tried to pounce, but unable to secure it.
Garcia needs to pinch that left knee to Fedor's hip. It looks like he's almost there, but he's actually putting himself in deeper danger. Art's posture dropped too much, and now we're going to see another omoplata attempt at the least, if not a carny attempt. Fedor's right leg is trying to stick to Art's hook. Stick to Art's leg as a sticky hook. And Art goes back to the full guard, which is probably the smarter choice. When you realize you're in deep, sometimes it's better to work backwards, and we are going to get that omoplata attempt at the very least, like I said before. Art's able to defend it again.
Nicely done by Garcia. Looking at Fedor with that left leg, he's got that tie socket on, if you will. Is that for a handle for the way that he plays that rubber guard?
Yeah, that's for friction. That's something that Eddie started doing, many years ago. Is he was the first no-gi guy to wear the gi pants.
Right.
And the ankle sleeves on top of it, the kickboxing ankle sleeves like you see Fedor with. And that's just to give himself more grip when he throws up that rubber guard. And like I said before, it does seem like he favors rubber guard on that side, and you notice he's not wearing a grip on the other side.
Now he's sitting back for the leg lock. Garcia tried to roll through, he taps.
Oh, wow.
Nicely done. Fedor able to move on to the quarterfinals, wrapping up the leg lock in regulation. Beautifully done for the Russian, as he's 1 for 1 thus far here in the 10PQ.
And we're back here, 10th Planet Qualifiers, the Absolutes. Thank you guys for joining us. Mike Wilson, joined by my partner in crime, Mr. TJ DeSantis. And we have our next match of the 16-man Absolute bracket coming up. This guy, if you're a combat sports fan, he should be no stranger to you. That is Mr. Matt Horowitz there. MMA pro, UFC vet, long-time MMA personality, taking on Donnie Bryan from Tempe, Albuquerque. And TJ, I got to be honest, I think Donnie is possibly the smallest guy in the bracket today.
I mean, he definitely is smaller than Matt Horowitz here, and Horowitz is not a heavyweight.
Not a heavyweight, but a larger dude, you know.
For sure.
Donnie Bryan, I don't know too much about. I do know he's from Albuquerque. He must train under Nate, and he's coming out ready to compete, ready to make his attempt at this 10-planet qualifier for the Absolutes. Trying to punch his ticket to the big show.
Matt Horowitz, a longtime Team Quest product, set up inside now, training down here, though, in Orange County with the 10th Planet system, has always been sort of in love with that 10th Planet system.
Yeah, I mean, he was a guy, I mean, we're talking 10 years ago using rubber guard in MMA. He was really one of those dudes who believed in it early, believed in Eddie's system, and also took his background and from what you're saying, the Team Quest and wrestling and those really wrestle-heavy guys in the Pacific Northwest, and kind of blended a unique style.
It's inside here on Donnie Bryan. See how he wants to attack. Hard to see from our angle exactly what he's going for.
Yeah, he's got some isolation on the far side arm. Matt Horowitz keeping his back.
Trying to get on the back here, as you mentioned, is Horowitz. The wall kind of in his way. And we're going to get a restart, I believe, here, as Scott Ross is going to try to get them some more real estate to work. And that's important. If you were just training, jiu-jitsu for MMA, maybe you would still work with the wall there in play. But again, this is all about the EBI rules, the rule set. And there's no cages. There's no walls at EBI.
Yeah, there is none. It's an open mat space in the big tournament in EBI. Here at the qualifiers, what happens with our ref, Scott Ross, is if there's a lull in the action and they're near the wall, he'll reset them. But otherwise, the wall is live. So if there's a situation, we've had them in the past here at the qualifiers, if there's a guy rolling out of bounds by defending a heel hook and he runs into the wall, it's still live.
Right. And I've seen that on the big stage as well, where whether it's Mike Beltran, Eddie Bravo, or Master Vic, they'll essentially be the de facto wall if it stops them from going off the mat and keeps the submission going. Right now, though, we see Bryan trying to wrap up this right leg of Matt Horowitz.
Ooh, Donnie with an inside heel hook attempt. He's stepping on that heel. He's going to get that
tap. Nicely done. Donnie Bryan able to submit the UFC veteran. Wraps it up with a leg lock submission, and he is on his way to the quarterfinals. Nicely done.
Wow, TJ.
And our action continuing here in Los Angeles. TJ DeSantis along with Mike Wilson downtown inside the headquarters of 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, it is?
It looks exactly like I thought it would on TV.
Oh, wow. I can't believe this is your first time here.
Yeah.
And you're local, too.
I never leave my house. All right, so we are set to get underway. I believe we got Felix Carrata taking on Wes Levine.
That is correct. Wes Levine in the red rash guard. Felix Carrata in the black.
Scott Ross, our referee, and we are underway. Levine takes a seat.
Wes Levine, 10th Planet black belt out of Orange County. Recently has spent the last year and a half in Tahiti, opening up 10th Planet Tahiti.
I don't even know where Tahiti is, to be honest with you.
I'm not sure either, but it sounds rad.
Vacation destination, at least.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. Yeah, Wes was saying it was pretty amazing and beautiful, and Polynesian island in the sun. What can go wrong? Now they got some jiu-jitsu out there. Felix Carrata, black belt from Tempe Long Beach under Chai Sirasut. And Felix, I haven't seen compete a ton. Recently coming off of a really bad leg break injury, like I mentioned before here from 10th Planet HQ. He was rolling with another competitor, Fedor, who we just saw in the last 2 matches ago. and was the victim of an unfortunate Connie Basami that resulted in a leg break in 2 places. And I know Felix had to do some recovery and physical therapy for over a year. And this is really the first time I've seen him since then. He looks great right now. And
Sitting back for a leg.
For a leg of his own.
Ravine, wise to it, trying to sit back for a leg of his own.
Yeah, good counter on that calf crush.
2 men disengaged, nicely done. Some excitement here inside 10PHQ. Back underway.
You know, TJ, this is honestly one of my favorite ways to do a tournament here. Small, intimate in the gym like this at the qualifiers. It gets rowdy sometimes, man. People really get, like, turned up emotionally. You know, it's a lot. It's very intense. You know, we all know each other. We're all friends. But, you know, again, that 10-on-10 crime is everyone's got to do what they got to do to get their spot.
And it's really exciting to see what EBI and Combat Jiu-Jitsu has done as far as, you know, becoming a spectator sport. And now we see Karada sit back for a leg, but nothing there. You know, I was in El Paso a couple weeks ago for both EBI and CJJ qualifiers, and it has a big fight feel. The atmosphere in the crowd is that of a mixed martial arts fight, and to have that in the modern day for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and no-gi grappling, it's something special.
Oh yeah, it's unique, and you know, having a crowd that is actually into it for jiu-jitsu is kind of rare, as a lot of people know. When you go to some big tournaments, it's sometimes it's really quiet, super small. You know, even though the prestige is really high, I think there's something about the EBI rules and the fact that we've got 10th Planet competitors and 10th Planet training partners and fans and all those things, and everyone kind of has just a greater appreciation, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that results in a lot of excitement.
And I mean, I'm a sports fan, so anytime anybody's competing at a high level and there's, you know, a prize and prestige on the line, like, I'm hooked. You got me. And jiu-jitsu has that in a big way now with this stage and this platform.
Yeah, it's grown so much. It's grown quite a bit. More and more guys are getting paid. More tournaments are putting out bigger and bigger money. And, you know, this being no exception, the winner today punching their ticket to the EBI the EBI Absolute tournament with a possible grand prize of up to $50,000. I mean, that's a lot of cheese for a jiu-jitsu tournament.
I mean, competing used to be just a way to sort of advertise your academy, to get, you know, decent, you know, in instructionals and things like that, where you do seminars, and now you can be a competitor who competes for a living.
Yeah, it's really changed, man. Exactly what you said. It used to just be advertisement, you know, show people that you're good, you get more students, and that's how people made their money, made their living. But nowadays, it's like guys have an opportunity to actually be full-time competitive athletes, like professional athletes, not just competing in order to run a school.
Now grabbing at the head is Karada. Butterfly guard here in play.
West looking to get that body lock. Bails on that. Gonna look for some standing passing, cutting through. I mean, both these guys look to be in pretty good shape. I know, like I said, I hadn't seen Felix in a while, and he looks better than I saw him before his injury. So I think he maybe took that injury as a, you know, another little way to build himself up, come back better than he was before.
And obviously no one wants to lose time, you know, on the mat or training, but I think, you know, if you make the best of your rehab stint, you can come back and, as you said, you know, maybe heal up other things that weren't necessarily injuring you to the point where you know, weren't able to compete.
Right. So many of us are, like, bound up with so many different injuries that we don't want to take time off for.
Right. I mean, I've heard of people, you know, taking time off for a surgery, and while they do that, they get another thing surgically repaired as well that they were still just rolling with regardless.
100%. I have some personal experience with that measure where I've had a knee injury for a long time, and I wouldn't take care of it and get it orthoscopically scoped, and I took an MMA fight and broke my arm in the fight. And so I had to have surgery on my arm, and I was like, okay, well, I'm already out with arm surgery. Now's the time to do the knee.
Might as well do the 2-for-1, right?
Absolutely. Cardano playing some shin to shin. These guys are they're pretty physical, and there's not a lot of establishing playing in one position. They've kind of gone through a lot of different positions, and there's just a lot of aggression, as we can see from Felix on the bottom, using his forearms to push up Wesley's face. But these guys, you know, like I said, it's competitive, but everyone's got respect at the same time.
And that's what's sort of cool about this environment, as you said. It's really like a team duel in a way to try to get to where you want to go. Everyone, you know, facing off with no super hard feelings. You know, you just.
Ooh, cap slicer attempt by Wes, loses it in the inversion.
You know, another thing I'm noticing here, Mike, is, you know, this room is a little hot and stuffy. You know, these athletes are sweating a little bit, and that can play a factor when you play the leg game as well.
Oh, 100%. You know, the more slippery, the longer this match goes, the more slippery these guys are going to be, and that doesn't always lend itself to getting in, you know, some of those quick submissions. It may lend itself to a situation if anybody manages to get to the back, or if we end up in overtime, where they start an EBI overtime on the back, and that may actually, the sweatiness sometimes help get that arm under the chin, and that could be a factor later. But I got to tell you, TJ, just between me and you, this is the coolest it's been in here for a 10th Planet qualifier in the last 6 months.
So I'm lucky.
Oh, you're lucky.
Okay.
Oh, this is glorious. The last time I was here a few months ago for the qualifiers, I was commentating with BMAC. Nice entry into the legs by Wes Levine, looking for that inside heel hook, but Cardano escaping his knee line. It was over 100 degrees inside this room.
Inside the room as well.
Oh, it was raining from the ceilings. And that was a really rough one that day. I mean, all the we actually had to take a break for the semi-finalist guys so that they could rehydrate. It was so
maybe
warm.
the commentators too, you know?
Commentators, yeah, we needed a little break as well. It was getting pretty hot. Today, thankfully, it's only going to be like a 75 high. Wes likes that calf slice attempt. He's gone for it. That's the third time now. Big guys throwing big legs all over the place here.
2 minutes left here in regulation. Running out of room. Scott Ross going to have him move back to the center of the mat.
We'll see Wes Levine. His 10th Planet Tahiti rash guard. The Kid, his nickname as he refers to himself.
And again, I don't know where Tahiti is, but if it looks like that rash guard, it's probably beautiful.
I'm sure it is probably beautiful. It's a cool design on the rash guard. Felix coming on top. Wes accepting bottom position, looking to hit a little dummy sweep. Pretty evenly matched so far. I would give Wes a slight advantage in attempts, although Felix did have a couple of good heel hook attempts, as you kind of see him going on another one here. Oh, catches that spin. Wes rotating back and now looking to maybe counter, but has to first clear his knee line. Gives up a little crab ride.
The action fast and furious there, but unable to really get a hold of anything and take it home.
I would like to see Felix capitalize into a crab ride after those leg entanglements and forcing Wes to spin. There's a possibility for him to transition to crab ride, but maybe not be in his repertoire of what he likes to do. Just 2 minutes here remaining. The big boys. That leads me to question one thing, TJ. You know, we saw in the previous match, Donnie Bryan being the smallest guy in the bracket. Does size have a negative against some of these guys? Because maybe the bigger guys don't have the gas to go 4 matches.
Yeah, we saw that at the qualifier a couple weeks ago. That is Stephen Locke, maybe. Vito Perez was a lot smaller than his opponents. He was able to make it to the semifinals against Austin Baker, and he just used his speed. And don't get me wrong, he had a good submission game as well. Nice sweep game, but I think you're onto something when you talk about size. If you are the smaller competitor, it's possible that you can utilize that to your advantage. So we are headed to overtime now. And I have become such a huge fan of watching overtime. I mean, we had a jiu-jitsu overtime show where it was nothing but jiu-jitsu overtime. But for the longest time, like when it's come to jiu-jitsu tournaments, it was hard for me as a combat sports fan to watch 2 athletes, you know, be strategic to the point where they were almost trying not to lose rather than to win. And overtime, you have no choice. You got to go out there and you got to compete. There is going to be a winner or a loser no matter what you want to do or how you want to approach it, and you better be aggressive.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's no way to stall your way to victory. You know, I mean, people will say, "Oh, he's just trying to hold," but you know, the opponent has an opportunity to escape.
Right.
And that's what we're seeing Wes Levine do right away. Get back flat to the mat, clearing that bottom hook. Now he just needs to get his shoulders down. Free that grip. Felix doing a great job of staying on the neck, which is keeping it live right now. Felix did good of keeping the arm and the head controlled, which keeps the position live, even if the hooks come out for those at home who may be unfamiliar with EBI over time. Both the hooks and the arm from the seatbelt position must be escaped in order for the clock to be rendered dead.
Now headed to the bottom of the first overtime. So we'll see Levine go on offense. And that's one thing that we always really sort of talk about when you get these EBI overtime rules is you have to have a controlled aggression. You want to be aggressive, but if you get too aggressive and you fall off, then you put yourself behind the 8 ball a little bit when it comes to that fastest escape time.
Right, exactly. You don't want to throw yourself in a position where you're down a couple of minutes. I think Wes is kind of going for the finish here, it seems like. Yep. He's got that on pretty tight. And that is a submission victory in overtime.
Nicely done.
Winner by RNC and OT.
We're going to take it over there. The winner of that match by RNC in overtime, Mr. Wes Levine. ADCC, somebody released some data information of the event a couple weeks ago, and you saw most of the submission finishes were RNCs.
Right.
And, you know, so that lets you know right there of what's working at the highest level. And it's the same thing for EBIOT. You know, we just needed to collect enough data to get to the point where you realize, okay, it kind of has an advantageous position to be second in overtime, because if you get a submission at the bottom of your round, you win. And that's what we saw with Wes Levine there. He escaped the first one and was able to submit in his stanza.
Now back to regulation, Quentin Rosenzweig taking on Pat Shigolli. Shigolli earned his way into this tournament. And again, we talked about him being sort of a wonder kid at this point, still a teenager, but has done some big things. But right now he needs to be defensive here. This leg lock of Quentin Rosenzweig.
Yeah, this will be an interesting exchange of leg attacks, I feel like, because Quentin is known as a leg locker. He's known as an incredibly strong and powerful grappler. Like, he is physically very strong. And, you know, I've seen him break some guys' legs in competitions. That being said, I'm sure Pat, seems like Pat is doing that at 17. You know, defeating Jason Patterson by heel hook and then Derek Rayfield in that 4-man runoff before this match. That being said, you know, Quentin is the #1 seed in this bracket. He's got the biggest wins. He's done absolute tournaments before on an Invitational Absolute, I believe. But Pat Shigolli, the young buck, is here to play for keeps.
You mentioned Shigolli's leg lock game. You know, I haven't trained very much at all, but, you know, it was 10, 15 years ago when I trained, and people didn't really want to allow, especially young kids, to go for leg locks and develop that game, and now you have to.
Yeah, you absolutely have to nowadays, and it's very clear to me that Pat is incredibly comfortable in these leg entanglement positions, because Quentin just had a really nice bite on an inside heel hook position, and Pat was absolutely stone-faced and didn't look phased in the face or in the body reaction whatsoever. He barely even had to defend it. So like you're alluding to, TJ, it's like, you know, kids today, they're learning everything from day one. Nice entry again by Quentin, forcing the roll, and like I said before, that wall is live.
Right. Shigolli trying to navigate his way through.
Switching the outside heel hook. And he gives
Bails
it up.
on it. Nice bit of action. We're going to get a reset here at the center of the mat. And I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but like the longer you are drilling and rolling with live leg locks, I mean, the more prepared and better you're going to be at it, because you have to go through those situations in the gym to be comfortable in a situation like this where you have to navigate through pretty heavy, serious leg danger.
Absolutely, and you know we see that again in the outside triangle position by Rosen on Pat Shigolli right now. But you know Pat does not seem fazed by any of these positions. You know he doesn't use his secondary leg to defend, which is like really surprising to me. And he seems like he's able just to heel slip a lot of Quentin's attempts. Now we're gonna see a back take attempt. Really
oh
nice
my goodness.
back take.
Pat Shigolli on the back trying to wrap up this body triangle.
Beautiful counter to that outside triangle position, 50-50 like position by Pat Shigolli. He set it up by escaping that knee line, pushing Quentin's weights down, and then stepping back into the truck position, rolling through, and now he's got his back with a body triangle. Pat Shigolli is really impressing the crap out of me in this tournament.
And Shigolli, correct me if I'm wrong, a blue belt.
Yeah, he's a blue belt under his father, and I believe his name is, I don't want to butcher his name. I think it's Steve that runs 10th Planet Long Island. But yes, Pat Shigolli is a blue belt. He's a teenager. I believe he's 17. He might be 18, but I know he's a teenager for sure. And he is really hanging in there, not just tough, but putting on offense and getting to dominant positions on black belt Quentin Rosen. Again, the #1 seed in the bracket. So
bottom line, we know Shigolli can go see a rated R film and rip apart your knee.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what he's qualified to do. I mean, I'll tell you that for sure. He's definitely qualified to rip apart someone's knee. We've seen him do it twice already today. And you know, he is just not at all fazed by Quentin's attacks. I'm shocked. The steam unlocked by him. Oh, and he's got that on Quentin. And Quentin had to really throw himself back to defend that, to be honest.
And for Shigolli, really nothing to lose here in this situation, getting a lot of experience, and so far so good. He's been victorious on this stage, but you got to believe that this is already a win in so many ways for him.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, his stock is going through the roof with every minute he continues putting it to Quentin. And again, his 2 victories earlier today, like personally, I can't wait to get him on my show.
Trying to lock up this guard here is Rosenzweig. He does.
And I think Quentin might be thrown for a loop here, to be honest, because I honestly believe he thought he was going to come out here and heel hook everybody and earn his spot in the 50K EBI Absolute Tournament. And, you know, you got the 17-year-old kid who, you know, again, Quentin is a guy who a lot of us talk about in 10th Planet as being a very physically strong grappler, very physically imposing. I watch some of his workouts on Instagram and stuff, and just to see a 17-year-old kid absolutely be unfazed by him is really surprising, because there's actually a lot of guys that turn down matches with Quentin, because Quentin's a guy who's not got a huge name, but he's incredibly dangerous. And, I mean, I have friends who run tournaments that have personally told me that guys have turned down Quentin Rosen, like high-level, very big-name athletes have turned him down because he's so dangerous.
Get a reset here, back in the center of the mat.
But if you're Pat Shigolli, I don't know if you think he's dangerous, because I haven't seen Pat phased one bit on any attack today.
And that's the other thing, too. Like, not only is he skilled with his submissions in the mat, but just that composure to be on this stage, you know, knowing what's at stake.
I mean, if you look at him right now, Eddie Bravo's behind him 2 feet away,
right,
watching every move. You know, I'm pretty sure this is the first time they've been out here to HQ. I haven't seen them out here before. And again, with the inside heel hook, and he heel slips again. I don't understand how he is so good at heel slipping.
Going for this toe hold. And
Pat Shigolli has feet that are like very strange. There's something up with his feet. I'm not sure what it is, but they're, and you could probably see on that camera how Pat is still heel slipping with no use of his secondary leg. It's crazy.
No fear for Shigolli. You know, still needs to be defensive here.
The kid's got rubber feet.
Right.
There's no, it doesn't make sense. He's not even protecting his inside heel hook leg. Look at that. He's not defending with his hands or his secondary leg. He's just heel slipping every time. He just turns his hips, rotates his heel down. If he forces himself to roll, he forces himself to roll like that. But ultimately, he does not look phased at all. It's incredible. I would like to see Pat try to open up Quentin's legs here, separate Quentin's feet, and attack something for himself. That's what I would like to see. And
you're looking at the rash guard of Shigolli. It says rubber bones. I agree with that.
Yeah, I believe that is a Shigolli family business. I think they own that. I have something to do with that. I've seen it before, Rubber Bones rash guards. Shout out to them. And, I mean, he's definitely the namesake.
Trying to sit back now in Shigolli for a leg. Now, obviously, a long ways to go for Shigolli, but if he were to get into this tournament and pull off the implausible, what would a 17-year-old do with 50 grand?
Oh, man. I mean, that's a lot of what do 17-year-olds even do these days? I have no idea. I'm too old.
Post on Instagram.
Yeah, post on Instagram. They're TikTok.
Right, that's it.
TikTok. Yeah, TikTok. I mean, I don't know. You just got to give this kid another box of hair dye and let him do whatever the hell he wants, because whatever he's doing is working. Him and his dad, Pat, is just, like, the composure is unreal.
So I'm doing some math in my head. This young man was born after the year 2000, huh?
Absolutely. 100% he was born after the year 2000.
That's gross.
Yeah, we're old, dude. That's gross. That makes me feel bad about what I've been doing with my life for the last 15 years a little bit. Not going to lie, ladies and gents.
Touch over a minute remains here in regulation. And again, if nothing else, Shigolli has been a disruptor thus far.
Boy, has he. He has really thrown a wrench into the plans of some guys here. I tell you, Jason Patterson, who he beat in that first match, really high-level purple belt. He's competed on my show, Submission-Only Series on Flow Grappling. He's competed on some other big events. He's a national champ. Ooh. Nice armbar attempt.
And goes back to the leg. Wow.
Wow. Great upper to lower body transitions by Pat Shigolli.
And who's the #1 seed here? My goodness, this is fun to see this unfold.
Dude, I'm blown away.
And again, he's already competed twice here today.
He's got 2 wins today. Another rolling back take attempt by Pat Shigolli. Almost sticks it.
30 seconds left here in regulation.
I mean, I think it's safe to say, TJ, that everyone in this room is impressed with this kid today.
I mean, how can you not be?
I mean, he's taken Quentin Rosenweig to overtime right now. We're about to enter overtime in the next 30 seconds.
And then we will see a completely different story unfold here as the format will change. Traditional EBI overtime rules. But Rosenzweig going to try to get a look at that left leg again, but time not on his side. 10 minutes in the books, and we are now headed to EBI overtime.
What a match. Pat Shigolli, you have an open invitation to compete on my show anytime, sir. That was incredible.
And I think I'm going to accept the invitation to watch wherever he competes moving forward because, I mean, the kid's talented, man. Wow.
Yeah, he is super talented. Again, the finisher's heavyweight adult champion. He's beaten a ton of adults already as even younger. And, you know, he came and showed out here, man. I guess that him and his dad are out here from New York all the way to Los Angeles just to do this tournament, just to compete.
Top of the first overtime. Quentin on offense first. He lets take the back.
Great
Shigolli.
defense.
Shigolli trying to roll into it. And he's free. Wow. And that was lightning quick. And now, you know, we're talking about escape time and overtime being much different, a much different animal than regulation. And that was a huge statement there on the top of the first for Shigolli to get free.
His technique is extremely sharp. He was prepared. He rolled the correct direction. He put belly down and did not stop rotating until his shoulders and his hips cleared. And it just really showed in that escape that Pat is no stranger to these rule sets. And he's got a big smile on his face. And I think we might see some upset today. I don't know. I mean,
this is already a moral victory in so many ways for Shigolli, but now he is on offense, bottom of the first.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. It's already almost longer that he's had control than Quentin had control of him.
I think we might be there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're past that point right now officially. And Pat has 2 hooks and the seatbelt. Quentin doing a hand fight, trying to escape his hips, and he will escape his hips.
Pulls free. And I mean, now we're looking at this to where, I mean, if they can't get a submission, we're just getting to this point where we're jockeying for position, and these seconds are very, very critical.
Yeah, every second is critical. Every second counts, and, you know, Pat's probably up by unofficially about 10 or less, and, you know, it might come down to all 3 rounds of this EBIOT. Wow, Pat's got great explosive hips. He's doing the right thing, keeping his feet on the ground, trying to free Quentin's feet from his hip line. And Pat's dexterity is really good too with his legs and his hips, even though he's kind of a thicker kid. He's got some of that baby weight on him still, but he's an athlete. There's no doubt about it. He's going to turn hips in.
Wow, nicely done. Again, quickly does Shigolli get away. And so now we are headed to the bottom of the second. And now if you're Shigolli, I mean, what do? Do you try to just rack up more control time? Do you get aggressive? Because, again, I don't know where we're at. I don't like to keep the unofficial clock like B-Mac does. He's always good at that. But,
yes.
I mean, that clock's ticking in his head, you know, for sure.
Absolutely. And, I mean, if you look at it, I've got to, at this point even, Shigolli's up a considerable over 10 seconds of control and ride time. I'm pretty sure he's content to just build on his lead. But at the same time, I've seen Pat Shigolli going for it all day long.
Right.
So I don't want to say that he's just going to hold on, because he's a goer. There's no doubt about it. The kid's a gamer.
I mean, he's on his 3rd match today.
Yes. And, you know, this is, again, every guy he's beaten today outranks him, and now he's fighting a black belt who's the #1 seed.
Rank and seeds, they're great on paper. But it's almost like they say records are meant to be broken. You know what I mean? And that's what we're kind of seeing here. And now we are headed to the top of the 3rd, so we'll see if Quentin is able to really lock this down because, I mean, again, just in my head, Mike, I got to believe he's down. Yeah,
there's no doubt about it. He's down on ride time. Pat looking like he's going to escape this pretty quickly, too.
Oh, my goodness.
And he does.
Oh, man.
So
that might be it.
That might be it, actually.
I mean, you might have some insurance here for Shigolli, but we could be looking at one of the biggest upsets you can even imagine.
I mean, this kid comes in out of nowhere.
Blue belt,
17 years old, coming in from New York with his dad, also a 10th Planet brown belt, his father. I believe his name is Chris. And they're here competing, looking to take down the #1 seed after winning the 4-man runoff.
Rosenzweig able to get 3, so now we're going to add up the math, and I mean, I feel like it might be Shigolli's for the taking here, but even if he doesn't somehow win this tournament or win this match, like I want to see him in a special match at EBI.
Oh,
honestly,
I don't think we're just going to get a special match.
10th Planet Long Island. Shout out to everyone there. Shout out to Eddie. Shout out to Quentin.
Winner by fastest escape time.
10th Planet Long Island. Shout out to everyone that's training. Shout out to everyone that's watching me compete at this. Joey, Vanny, Frankie, my dad, Steve, everyone.
Pat Shigolli doing big things, and you know, Mike, I'm sitting here thinking, all right, I don't want to put the horse before the cart here and say like I want to see Pat in a special match. We might see him win the whole thing and earn his way there, but like I need to see more of this young man in this format.
Absolutely. I think we have a superstar on the rise with Pat Shigolli, 17-year-old blue belt, just defeated 3 adults back to back just to get his way into the quarterfinals of our 16-man tournament. Again, he's got 2 regulation victories via heel hook over Jason Patterson and Derek Rayfield, EBI vet, and then he just took out the #1 seed in EBI overtime versus Quentin Rosenweig. I think we have the makings of a kid who we're going to be talking about, TJ, for a long time. And we got, this is going to be, I think, a really banger of a match. This is my favorite first-round matchup of the entire day. We got Mike Lady from 10th Planet Vegas taking on Sam Barbosa from 10th Planet Jacksonville. TJ, these 2 guys, I'm pretty familiar with both. Mike Lady, one of my former students from Vegas, purple belt under my coach, Casey Halstead. He just made it to the 2nd day of the ADCC trials a few months ago in the heavyweight division. So he won 3 matches at ADCC trials, made it all the way to the quarterfinals. And it's a really big accomplishment. You know, you're going against the elite guys in the world. Sam Barbosa, on the other hand, just won that pro tournament in Florida a couple weeks ago. He's a pro MMA fighter. He's undefeated, very highly touted, coming from Coach Brian Brown. Shout out to him back in Jacksonville. And I think this is probably the most exciting, even matchup that I was excited for the first round.
So break down the styles. What do you expect from which athlete?
So Mike Lady, again, I coached him for a number of years in Vegas during my tenure there, teaching under Coach Casey. Mike Lady was a high school wrestler. He also wrestled in junior college. And so I expect Mike to be on top for most of the game. Mike's a really good body lock passer, which we're seeing exploits of right now. He's in the body lock on Sam Barbosa on the bottom. And Mike is really patient. He also has a really high-level, deep half-guard game from the bottom. So if Mike at any point ends up on the bottom, I can almost assure you guys at home we're going to see some deep half-guard. That being said, Sam Barbosa, rubber guard, really good on the bottom, good top pressure passing. I've seen him hit some like mounted triangles, omoplatas, mounted arm bars as well in tournaments. So he's got, I think, a little bit of a more dynamic, I guess you would say, style.
Sure.
Mike Lady a little bit more patient, and a little bit more of a heavyweight game, again, focusing on the guard passing. And if he does end up on bottom, he sweeps via deep half and gets back on top via wrestle-ups. We see a Barbosa with the front headlock looking for an anaconda. Might get this, using his leg really well. I like how he uses that right leg, TJ, to control Mike Lady's trapped arm.
Able to get on top now.
Yeah. And Mike Lady is good and confident from this turtle position, this referee position.
Right.
Again, being a wrestler, he also gets a lot of wrestle-ups from these type of positions.
Nicely done there, able to get free for the time being, not trying to get back to his feet.
That's the thing about Mike. He's not going to accept bottom, in that if you do get on top of him, he's not just going to play guard. He will give up the back a little bit in certain instances like that in order to create a scramble and stand up.
I'm trying to work this key lock.
Barbosa kind of got a Derek Rayfield type of game as well. He'll relax, let you mount him, as we're seeing here. He's not really defending Mike's mount so much as he's waiting for his opportunity to explode and capitalize.
You mentioned that wrestling base. I think about Casey Halstead, who just looks like a wrestler. Coach Casey is that wrestling mindset, and I think he turns wrestlers into savages.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we do in Vegas, man. You know, I'm lucky enough to be mentored by Coach Casey out there in Vegas. I left Orange County a number of years ago to go help him run the schools out there in Vegas, and now they're just flourishing, man. There's 600-700 students between two academies. He's got a number of up-and-coming killers. He's got my boy, my old roommate, Andy Varela, who is just in ADCC, one of the top guys in the world. He's also going to be competing on my next show, November 6th, SOS 8. The middleweight pros. You see Andy out there. But 10 Planet Vegas, man, yeah, they grind. They take the wrestlers. They teach them jiu-jitsu. They teach them guard. They teach them how to take the back. And, you know, I mean, every day, every Sunday in Las Vegas, the toughest room in the entire city is 10th Planet.
I've heard that.
I mean, to be honest, every day of the week is the toughest room is 10th Planet. And if you don't think so, be my guest and go right in there, because there's going to be 7 to 10 UFC current athletes.
Right.
There'll be 7 to 10 black belts, and then you're going to have another room full of a bunch of young up-and-coming killers.
Interesting position here as these guys are...
Double headlock.
Oh, wow.
Right? Guillotine. Yeah. Guillotine attempt by Barbosa on the bottom.
Lady wise to it. Wow.
Does not stop spinning. Like, it was almost like he had his head in the crocodile's mouth the way he was spinning out of that.
Right, yeah, that was fun. You're talking about 10th Planet Las Vegas. The downtown academy is a beautiful facility as well.
that was my academy where I taught the majority of the time for about 3.5 years. Downtown Vegas, right off of Fremont Street, 6th and Fremont. Shout out to my boy, the 6th Street Strangler, who took over my position for me. And, yeah, one of the most beautiful academies in the world. I mean, you know, I'm sure it sounds biased. I used to teach there for a number of years, but it used to be a Bikram yoga studio. So they built the place and has, you know, granite countertops and 4 showers, men's and women's bathrooms, and laundry room. It's just beautiful.
I have no bias. It's the nicest gym I've ever been in, honestly.
It's too nice.
For a jiu-jitsu academy, it's great.
Right, and, you know, we just got lucky in that the Bikram spot closed down, and Coach Casey was able to swoop up a lease, and we've been there ever since. And it's, you know, there's nothing cooler, honestly, than training on a Friday night, getting an open mat at like 7 p.m. We all hang out, train. Everyone showers, cleans up, and then boom, we go hit Fremont Street, have a great dinner, have some drinks, hang out.
And that's where you want to be in Vegas anyway.
Oh, yeah, it's the best. And if you're a local, you're definitely going to Fremont, not the Strip. So Mike Lady, no stranger out there. He's being coached by some of his boys also out here. And I see Barbosa setting up a high rubber guard, isolation. He's got, omoplata attempt slips out for Mike Lady. And like I said, I expected this from Mike Lady. He's a good body lock passer. He's patient. He's not going to take a unnecessary risk. Mike is one of the most cerebral grapplers I've ever had the pleasure of training. It was great training this guy because he's very smart. He's a software engineer. You know, he's got a really good business. He makes a good living, and he's just a very intelligent guy, very cerebral. And he doesn't do anything without data. He's, like I mentioned earlier today, it's like that was one of the things me and him were constantly DMing and nerding out about is different data over, jiu-jitsu events and tournaments and things of that nature. So Mike has a very controlled way about him. You know, I've never seen him angry. He's a guy who doesn't get too high or too low ever. And I think you see that in his jiu-jitsu because he's been put in a couple spots.
Right.
But maintains composure and works his way out.
And you need to be calm in those spots. You need to take data and understand how to strategically approach things, and he's done that. He's been in some precarious situations today, and he's got through the other side to continue to fight. And that's one thing, too. You talk about data. That's something that Eddie Bravo has been very high on when it comes to combat jiu-jitsu. And I think just jiu-jitsu in general, we see data, get calculated and gathered more and more, and we see the game evolve on the EBI as well as the CJJ mats.
Yeah, it's always evolving. It's always changing up, and I think there's just always new opportunities, for people to figure new things out, whether that's EBI, whether that's points tournaments.
Barbosa trying to come up on the back here of Lady. Nicely done. He's able to secure it.
Mike's fighting that bottom hook with his left arm, but in doing so, he's giving up exposure to his own neck, and I would like to see him fight 2 hands on the neck instead.
Definitely not a comfortable position here.
And now he's going to get in a position where he might be stuck with that body triangle on the top side. Yes.
Hard to see from our position. Looks like he's fighting the hands.
Yeah, so Barbosa's got that body triangle. Mike is trying to go hips down in order to free his right leg from that hook behind his knee. Camera might be kind of in the face of the hand fight, but the real battle that's going on is actually that foot behind Mike's knee.
Right.
That's the real battle, to get that body triangle unlocked. And Mike knows what he's doing. I would like to see him switch his hips the other way right now to free that hook. So that hook is now free. Mike needs to not let it keep him stuck. And there he goes. He turns his hips down, which is good. He needs to turn the hips down to unlock that triangle.
1 minute remains here in regulation. Barbosa on the back here of Lady, and you got to believe that if he doesn't get this submission, it's going to have a lot of momentum carried with him in going into overtime. And he's, fatiguing Lady here, who's being very defensive, but it looks like he might be rolling into the guard.
Yeah, Lady's doing a good job of keeping his knees squared up, protecting his left arm right now. I'm sure he knows that Barbosa's probably thinking about an armbar.
Nicely done.
Gives it up and works his way out. Mike, like I said, Mike is very composed. He never gets too high, never gets too low.
Barbosa in on this Kimura grip.
Might see a step around arm lock. Might see a step around arm lock attempt here.
Remember when George St. Pierre had that hit on him from Matt Hughes in the UFC?
Yes, exactly.
Passes the guard, does Lady. Dying moments here of regulation. 10 minutes in the books. We are headed to overtime. Fun little match there in regulation. Lady, to his feet, doesn't look too gassed as we head into overtime. It's always interesting to see how different the momentum and sort of composure changes when you go from regulation to overtime, because it is a different game in so many ways. Yes, Barboza did have the back of Lady, but now we're going to overtime, and you know, the mindset and the mentality needs to change a lot. If you're Lady, yes, you need to be controlled and composed and defensive, but you need to get out of there as quickly as possible as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, you know, it does have the possibility for momentum to carry over from regulation and overtime. You saw Barboza being dominant towards the end of regulation. But, you know, just between me and you, I'm seeing right now, like when we're watching them set up for overtime, Barboza was the one laying down, breathing heavily with his back on the mat. Mike Lady was standing up. And Mike Lady was breathing normally, and I think that will have an indicator as Barboza escapes very quickly for his defense.
So we're going to go to the bottom of the first now. Barboza elects to take the back here of Lady. And here we go underway. Trying to get that body triangle is Barboza. Trying to get that rear naked choke maybe on the face here, but trying to wrap it up.
Yeah, and it looks like it is deep enough with that right arm in front of the chin that he's just going to look to face crank him.
There's the tap, nicely done. Sam Barboza gets the win in overtime via submission, and he is on his way to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I think that was a pretty evenly sourced match, and Barboza comes through.
Copy. Thank you to Eddie for the opportunities. Shout out to 10th Planet Jacksonville.
Victorious was Sam Barboza in overtime. Gets a submission in the bottom of the first. He is on his way to the quarterfinals. Again, TJ DeSantis along with Mike Wilson downtown here inside the 10th Planet HQ. This for the 10th Planet qualifier, the 10PQ 24. It is all about the Absolute Tournament. It goes down October 23rd in El Paso, Texas, and the road to El Paso starts here in Los Angeles.
A couple of the smaller guys in the Absolute bracket, huh, TJ?
It's funny. You never know exactly what you're going to get in the Absolute, but these guys, they look like they're in a divisional tournament. It's not an open weight class with these two. They look right around the same size.
Yeah, they look pretty similar. I would say Justin's a little bit thinner for sure, but you know, definitely two of the smaller dudes in the bracket.
I always love the Absolute because you get to play like the carnival game. You know, guess your weight.
Guess your weight.
I get a prize.
Absolutely, they do. And, you know, size not being the biggest factor all the time. Like we saw earlier, Donnie Bryan taking the win over heel hook on Matt Horowitz, who was considerably larger than him. So,
that was the old saying, you know, early UFCs, Royce Gracie was small, but now we're in a time where I believe size and strength has a bigger impact, because you got to believe that everybody here, they're not, you know, novices by any means when it comes to jiu-jitsu. Their technique, it's all on point. So strength probably does have a bigger factor than it did, obviously, you know, 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, like you just said, TJ, it's like when people actually have technique and knowledge, strength becomes a big factor. You know, I mean, when all else is even, strength will sometimes be the determining factor in who will be victorious. And, you know, you see that when guys are evenly weight, but maybe have different body types and musculature and things of that nature, as we see a really nice hip control to mount from Reynaldo Camacho. Just hip pressured his way down over Justin Turner, figure forward the legs a la Khabib style, and then mounted him. And now he's got an underhook on the left arm. His hips are heavy. Justin Turner is in a world of pressure right now.
What are your thoughts on the mount position here with the traditional EBI rules? In combat jiu-jitsu, it's a good place to strike, but here in EBI, do you want to force your opponent to wear the weight a little bit more before you get aggressive and try to, you know, grab something? Or do you feel this is a good position to try to be offensive and, you know, grab an Ezekiel or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's everyone. It really comes down to styles. You know, it's like if you're a guy who's a good pressure guy and you're, you know, that's your spot. A lot of people, for some reason, you know, they don't ever develop a great mount.
Right.
Because there's a fundamental lack of understanding of control sometimes. And I'm seeing right now from Ronaldo, he does not lack that understanding. He understands what it means to control the mount because he's keeping Justin's arm isolated the entire time. And what that has done is that's forced Justin to only push Ronaldo's hips with his left arm, his free arm. And Ronaldo's hips have been plugged in down the entire time. And I know the camera can't see, but we can from our angle, where Ronaldo actually has his feet crossed under Justin's butt. He's pulling his heels towards Justin's hips. So what that does is that doesn't enable Justin to use his legs effectively to swim or Alcatraz his way back into some sort of guard. Ronaldo's just done a really good job of keeping Justin's arm controlled, keeping the pressure right above that shoulder line below the elbow, and keeping it isolated. And, you know, I think a lot of guys don't use this to their advantage in the way that mount used to be thought of. It used to be thought of a position where you would cook the guy. You know, my coach originally was a Brazilian, and, you know, he would say, cook the beans. You know, if you're Mexican like me, you know beans take a long time to cook.
Sure.
You can't cook beans fast. So you got to cook the beans and just kind of let people cook under pressure. And I think that's what Ronaldo is doing. And I think Justin is starting to turn and maybe give up the back because he's feeling threatened by that head and arm.
And I feel in like MMA, the mount is looked at as more of a position where you try to get a higher mount. You try to get, you know, up their body and utilize it for strikes where, like you said, you can cook your opponent here.
Yeah, I think, you know, I'm in MMA and CJJ. When you're striking, nobody disputes that mount is a dominant position.
Right, of course.
You know, but in sub-only rule set, we've seen it many times from many guys. You know, they play possum, they let you mount them, and then they explode into leg attacks from there. And that is a good technique if that is your style, like we said before. You know, it looked like Ronaldo's style was heavy pressure on top, mountain. But now we see Justin on top, and that might
be Scott Ross telling them to reset in the center of the mat. There's a lot of action there late as they got away from the center of the mat here. So now we're going to get restarted and Turner on top.
Turner getting his opportunity. He weathered the storm, and now let's see if he can capitalize while he's on top. Let's see what kind of bottom game Ronaldo has. Well, a cow catcher looks like he's going to lose position if he doesn't pull that foot out. If he leaves that foot in, he's going to maintain top position. And I'd like to see Turner. I would have liked to see Turner insert that foot rather than step over, because he could have had 100% attempt. But nonetheless, he steps all the way over, ends up in top half, but does not have the underhook. And that will be the battle from here. Camacho inserting his hook, elevating Turner, looking to get that entry into a inside Senkaku position, but Turner steps over the head with his right leg, and now we're in this position where Camacho is looking to figure out a way to come up on top and take the back, or just to come to his knees and regain the top position. But he's being strategic in the way he's coming up. He's not in a rush. Looks like Camacho's trying to insist on that leg attack, and he does. Looks like he's going honey hole, aka inside Senkaku position, with his left leg reaping over the top of Turner's. Turner is a good leg locker. I've trained with him many times myself. He's got good heel hooks.
Is it one of those things where if you're an offensive leg attacker, just because you know the offense so well, that you're pretty good on defense, or is it two different mindsets?
I mean, it's definitely, you know, you have to know both, right? Nobody's going to be good. You can get some attacks off, but if you don't know defense, you're going to get countered, right? You know, against, you might get some taps against guys who don't know what they're doing, but when people know what they're doing with leg attacks, the real danger comes in counters. You know, somebody initiates, somebody defends, and then one guy counters, and then the other guy counters, and they counter back and forth. And that's where you see inside heel hooks and 50-50 position becoming, you know, those finishers, because people are more and more savvy every day. They're getting more and more data points of collection. They're learning the routes, what means of defense work best.
I'm a big fan of just seeing that breakdown where, you know, a guy will attack one leg, but really his mind is on trying to attack the other. They're baiting them to think one way and then, you know, quickly transition and switch. And that's what I think has been the biggest evolution of the leg game is, you know, you might look over here, but really you need to look over there.
Oh, totally, totally. And you know, obviously we have to give credit when credit's due. Guillotine attempt here by Justin Turner. That's pretty deep.
It is going to his back. There's the tap. Nicely done. Justin Turner secures the submission and the spot in the quarterfinals. A guillotine will get it done. PQ, absolute qualifier. Getting a spot on the line at EBI 20. TJ DeSantis along with Mike Wilson, happy to have you here. We were inside the 10th Planet HQ, downtown Los Angeles. We've already seen a lot of action. And again, Mike, we're not even through the opening rounds of this tournament.
We've seen a lot of regulation finishes today, which at home you gotta love, right? I mean, you know, EBI overtime is great. I do prefer it over most overtimes out there, but I do gotta say, guys, finishing in regulations where it's at.
You mentioned 10th Planet Cancun. Cancun has been a destination for both combat jiu-jitsu and the return of the Eddie Bravo Invitational earlier this year. And the jiu-jitsu community down there in Cancun, I don't think it's one that comes to mind, but they've been rolling a lot, and the game down there has really evolved over the last couple of years since Eddie Bravo and Master Vic have brought the shows down there.
Yeah, and a big shout out to Master Vic and Eddie Bravo for having that vision and taking jiu-jitsu to different places and different heights, you know, and also just, you know, during the pandemic, I mean, everyone's got their opinion, but let's be real. If you're watching this, we all pretty much have the same opinion, you know. We wanted to still do jiu-jitsu during the pandemic, and them going down to Mexico and keeping EBI going and giving guys opportunities to still compete and make money, man, shout out to them. That was really amazing vision and a great ability to pivot.
I mean, the world's going to go on whether you like it or not, and you got to go with it, right?
Absolutely. As we've seen, you know, it's like, hey, things worked out the way they worked out, and now we see Jonathan with a go behind, looking to take the back of George. George elects to play bottom side and build up in a turtle. George looks like not easy to hold down.
No, definitely not.
If I had to guess. He doesn't look easy to hold down. He's got some booties on, which I've never seen in my life before in grappling.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that it might be a better handle for your opponent.
I would be worried about wrestling with those because, like, if the mat's wet, you would slip. Maybe it's got grip on the bottom. I don't know, but I've never seen those booties. Shout out to George for being an innovator in that regard. Interesting. And he's all suited up. So maybe we'll see George play guard. I got to be honest. I don't know George. I haven't seen him roll, so I don't know what to expect. Him being a big boy, I would assume he's probably wants to be on top, but maybe not. Maybe he's a rubber guard guy. Who knows? Jonathan, on the other hand, I've rolled with Jonathan here at 10 Planet HQ when he's visited quite a bit from Mexico over the years. Really nice guy, great instructor. He's got good pressure. He plays guard well. He's not afraid to wrestle. I don't think wrestling's his background, but I've exchanged some takedown knowledge with him, so he's definitely into it and is learning it well as he maintains control in this north-south over George.
It's a high north-south, if you will, as well. He's got basically a hold around his neck. It's not one of those situations where he's up by his head to go for like the Jeff Munson, the north-south choke or anything like that.
Yeah, no, he's just controlling the hips right now. He's got his hands locked under George's hips. and is keeping his hips tight. George in no big hurry to explode because he's not under any danger. Probably conserving his energy.
This is the longest sort of maintaining of the north-south I can remember in a match in a while. It's normally a place where you transition to briefly and then move on. TJ DeSantis, along with Mike Wilson, downtown LA inside the 10th Planet headquarters. Appreciate you joining us for the 10th Planet qualifier. Shout out to the Grappling Network, of course, for putting everything together. It's my first 10 PQ, and it's a cool vibe. I like it.
It is cool. Like I said a little bit earlier in the broadcast, I actually, I run a tournament. I go to tournaments all over Southern California, Vegas, everywhere else. But one of my favorite ways to run a tournament is actually here in a qualifier at 10th Planet headquarters, because everything is so intimate, everyone knows each other, and there's a lot at stake. So when you factor in those three things, intimacy, people know one another, and then there's a big prize on the line, you're going to get really exciting environment and like a tense, thick environment. And, it's just excitement. It's no bad vibes whatsoever, but everyone is just like excited about who's going to win, and they want to see their friend perform well.
Is there at all like a home field advantage if you're someone who trains here at HQ often to be in this situation on, familiar mats?
I would say the advantage may lie if you're local, that you have your support system here.
Right.
You have people coming in. There's a lot of teammates, girlfriends, boyfriends, that kind of thing for the ladies' event. So, I think the hometown lies in that you have some people around you, your support system, versus, Jonathan flying in here from Cancun. I think he flew in solo. Pat Shigolli, we talked about earlier, just here with his dad from New York. So these guys, they got maybe that chip on their shoulder that, they don't have. This isn't their backyard. We're all teammates. We all love each other. We're all 10P, but, they're not necessarily at home the way, George might be, because
right.
George trains right down the street in Pasadena, 25 minutes away. So
might be something to be said, too, to go, without a big posse. You got a point to prove a little bit, to go out there and, make some people upset if you're the one that's in the minority when it comes to support.
Absolutely. And Pat Shigolli, throwing back to him, is
right.
he came out and did absolutely that. He won his first two matches in the 4-man runoff and then takes out the #1 seed in overtime. Writing his own story.
Still in this north-south position here.
Jonathan maintained control this entire time. George not making too many escape attempts. And I think they're both just kind of waiting for each other to be the first to make that mistake.
I believe we have 6 minutes down, 4 to go here in regulation.
Jonathan just trying to identify where his opening might be. George making the move to his knees, but getting cracked down again, getting mounted. Jonathan's got a little head and arm attempt, but George's right hand is in between, so I don't think he's going to be able to properly choke him with that wedge in there, and he doesn't. A little bit of a rush by Jonathan. I would have liked to see him take better patience in that position and free the hand of George, so that would have been a more dominant attempt.
Back to that north-south position.
Yeah, interesting defense by George. I really haven't seen this type of defense where he hides both hands and keeps like elbow frames in. He's not pushing the hips. He's not trying to bring his knees inside. So I'm not sure how he's going to escape that without bringing his arms to the inside of Jonathan's hips and at least making space. Otherwise, he's just going to be stuck here.
See Lopez posture up a little bit, still has his hands on the legs.
I'm not sure Jonathan really knows what to do, because, sometimes you get a dance partner that's not really giving you much to work with, and therefore, if somebody doesn't open up and go for it, you're not going to get any opportunities to capitalize.
Goes aside, knee and belly, steps across from mount.
And again, George showing that type of defense, but it put him in trouble because now he's in spider web. I would like to see Jonathan control the other leg, the bottom leg, but
Here we talk about data. This is some data gathering here for Lopez. If this goes to overtime, he's getting a good look at what that spiderweb position might be should he want to attack that.
That's a very great point, TJ. This should be data for him if you recognize it.
Oh, there's the arm, though.
Wow.
No data necessary. He is on his way to the quarterfinals. Armbar submission for the 10th Planet Cancun product. He gets it done.
Hey man, how's it feel?
I feel so happy. This is the first time that I signed up for the qualifiers, and it was a dream for me. So to come and have a match and win is like I already won. This is for my family, my kids, and all my team. Love you in Cancun, Mérida, Yucatán, Campeche, Mexico.
Our action still unfolding here. One final opening round matchup to go here in the absolutes of the 10th Planet qualifier. We see Jonathan Stutt taking on Kamoy Anderson. Anderson, brown belt out of 10th Planet El Paso.
And,
two men lock up early on the feet.
Kamoy, I've trained with quite a bit here and there. Kamoy's pretty prolific traveler and competitor, TJ. He originally is from El Paso, got ranked out through 10th Planet in El Paso, but now he lives in Austin, where he trains and teaches at 10th Planet Austin. As he hits a double into a Darce attempt from the bottom, a little guillotine attempt actually from the bottom. But looks like Kamoy's going to be able to maintain control of that. Oh,
rolled over.
Just as I say that, he gets rolled through. And again, Kamoy training at 10th Planet Austin now, teaching classes there, relocated in order to further his jiu-jitsu training.
Ooh, trying to go for this omoplata.
Ooh, wrist lock.
Settles for top position.
And what I was going to say about Kamoy is that he's explosive. He does strength and conditioning at the On It gym in Austin. He competes all the time, all over the U.S. He's always flying out to different places, always training in different places. I met him through my old roommate, Andy Varela. They were friends from El Paso together and training partners. And when Andy moved to Vegas, that was around the time I met Kamoy, and we've been friends since.
Kamoy's rocking that Jason Mayhem Miller hairstyle from the early 2000s.
Oh, yeah, Mayhem Monkeys, old school. Yeah, he's
you got a number?
Throwback. You remember Mayhem Monkeys?
Oh, of course.
Oh, man, that's a, yeah, we're damn well, bro.
Very old. We get our AARP cards, I think.
Yeah, we just dated ourselves hard. But, yeah, Anderson trains quite a bit. I've seen him in San Diego training with the Freaks. He's just been all over the place. Vegas, Austin, El Paso.
How important is it to get the different looks from different gyms in your jiu-jitsu journey?
That's a great question, TJ. You know, it really depends on everybody because, you know, there's still, unfortunately, some schools that are old school and traditional thinking where they don't want you dropping into different places. But, you know, 10th Planet is nothing like that. 10th Planet is the style of no styles. Very much a throwback to Jeet Kune Do, Bruce Lee, inspiration for Eddie Bravo. You know, he talks about it all the time. We're the style of no styles. Even though 10th Planet, a lot of people do think, oh, the rubber guard, the lockdown, the truck, you know, yeah, those are our techniques that we are known for. But as you may have seen watching here today, the majority of these guys all have different styles. I mean, we've seen rubber guard players, we've seen wrestlers, we've seen back take guys, we've seen heel hookers, we've seen everything. So, you know, that's a unique aspect you get when you're with 10th Planet is you can train at all the other 10th Planets, you know, across the country, across the world, and get different looks and different guys. So it's super important, you know, especially if you're in a small town. You know, you're a big fish in a small pond. You know, you're in a smaller, like again, El Paso, not a big city. So you're a high-level competitor like Kamoy. You're gonna have to travel to get some tougher roles a lot of the time, especially if you're a high-ranking guy in your gym, a brown or a black belt. You know, it's the same thing for a lot of coaches. You know, you roll with your students all the time. Well, you need other black belts to get good as well. So there's got to be some sort of cross-training, and you know, Kamoy is a big proponent of that. Jordan, on the other hand, I don't have a lot of info on Mr. Jordan Strutt from the bottom here, working the bottom position. I wasn't able to collect a lot of data on him, so I'm interested to see what kind of game he's got and how he deals with Kamoy's pressure and Kamoy's wrestling.
And that's what's exciting about these qualifiers, too, is you can go from a relative unknown to almost a household name within the system.
Yeah, I keep speaking up Pat Shigolli because I'm like insanely impressed by him and what he's done so far today, taking out 3 really good competitors, you know, 2 of them really good names, Derek Rayfield and Quentin Rosenweig. You know, both of these guys defeating them both. You can go from an unknown to a household name real quick. And we see Kamoy taking his time with that instep, looking to free his right leg. He's got the body lock gripped underneath the back, holding him down chest to chest. And Kamoy's going to start working that knee cut. Got a little hemmed up, and now he's going to have to defend the lockdown from Jordan on the bottom.
Reach the halfway point here of regulation, 5 down, 5 to go.
And it looks like, yeah, Kamoy's got his instep in between Jordan's legs, but he needs to get it under all the legs in order to free that lockdown.
Jordan able to get his full guard back. There comes high, working their rubber guard. Again, TJ DeSantis, Mike Wilson, downtown LA inside the 10th Planet headquarters, getting ready for EBI 20. Again, one of our athletes today will win this tournament and find themselves on the big stage in El Paso, where they could walk away with EBI gold and a potential $50,000 prize.
A lot of big moves up for stake with this bracket representing the other 10th Planet spot. Kyle Bohm already confirmed for that tournament, taking on the first spot. And the winner here today will be number 2.
Now stacking inside the guard is Anderson. Jordan keeping that guard wrapped up and closed. Guard opens up. Anderson steps free.
See a little outside passing from Kamoy here. In the hand fight with Jordan.
Enters back into the guard. Gets in half.
Kamoy looking for the body lock pass. Locks his hands. Keeping the pressure tight. He's going to keep his head on that side of Jordan's body in order to free his legs, which he does. Knee under the butt, nice tight side control. I like that knee position from Kamoy's right knee under the butt. Makes it really difficult for Jordan to turn in and re-guard. And I'm a big fan of the body lock pass because you're not in a rush to crossface. You're not in a rush to get the far side underhook. And you're able to keep people pinned and their hips under control. That's something I'm a big proponent of. I hate when people dive on the far side underhook and then get re-guarded on. That is such a basic, easy fix that you see a lot of people make that mistake. But Kamoy Anderson, not so much. Very tight pressure with consistent patience. And you see him really getting him where he wants him. He's in a good position right now.
Anderson trying to maybe get a different look here. Thought he was maybe going to try to attack that far side arm.
Jordan's doing good keeping his frames in. You know, he's got 2 elbow frames. He ain't doing much more than that, but he doesn't need to because he's keeping himself positionally strong. Kamui chooses to elect to let go of the far side underhook to get into that scarf hold position. And that's interesting because a lot of guys do not like this position, but a lot of wrestlers do because it's a good pinning position if you know how to control the top person's shoulders. Looks like he might go for, looks like he's going for that Boss Rutan
scarf hold arm lock?
Scarf hold stretch, like where you do a chest compression.
Right, like almost a neck crank.
Yeah, it's actually, if done correctly, is like a chest compression choke where it's squeezing all the air out of your lungs in your upper chest cavity. Josh Barnett is a master of that movement. I don't think Kamui can quite hit it yet.
30 seconds left here in regulation, so time not on his side.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to waste a lot more energy trying to squeeze here. At least I wouldn't want him to if I was cornering him. I would advise him to not squeeze and blow his arms out right before EBIOT, where you have to take either the spider web or the back position. You don't want fatigued arms in that last 30 seconds. It's still live. Kamui is doing the right thing. He just kind of is just resting.
There's time. Little premature end to that match, but ultimately the clock does expire, so now we're on to OT. You talk about that fatigue factor. I mean, there's no real break from regulation to overtime. It's a coin flip, and you're right back at it. So you're right, really have to control that output as far as making sure that you're not too fatigued when you go into that OT.
Yeah, exactly. It becomes all about strategy, you know, towards the later portion of the round and what position you find yourself in. And Kamui Anderson taking the spider web position first. I think he's the first guy we've seen today do that.
Oh, wow. To his detriment, because I don't know if that was 3 full seconds.
He was not ready. He wasn't ready.
Wow.
He wasn't ready.
So now Jordan going to go on offense here in the bottom of the first.
Yeah, I think if you do that spider web position, you got to have everything locked in terms of like your deep hooks got to be set. You got to be pinching your elbow to the chest. You got to have your hand positioned correctly. You got to have your weight leaning forward. There's just got to be a lot of things. I think Kamui rushed it, and it hurt him. You know, because now he's already double the amount of time that he held Jordan, if not triple or quadruple now. So big thing for Kamui. He's got to use his feet to escape that body triangle. He's got to turn his hips, got to use his right foot to clear that hook, which he's doing right now. It's back in between his legs. Now we're in a topside triangle, so now he's going to shift it again. Good job by Kamui. That's the right move. When somebody switches from the top to the bottom or the bottom to the top, you got to switch with them, put them back on defense, and Kamui's out here. Technical escape, but it did take considerably longer.
Yeah, absolutely. The time not on the side of Anderson right now, so he's going to see if we can negate that here in the top of the second, maybe get a little more ride time, control time. He elects to take the back this time, which...
No surprise there.
Definitely considering what happened the last time, he went with the arm attack. Top of the second underway. Kamui Anderson on offense.
Good grip on the hands by Kamui. If you see that like Kimura grip that he's got, TJ, he's doing a really good job of keeping control of Jordan's bottom arm. He's using a 2-on-1. And even though Jordan's beat that bottom hook, because of the way he's going to control Jordan's neck. Oh, he lost that. He's double unders. He's not out yet? Okay, yeah, he is.
You got to believe that that still wasn't enough time to even the clock and the escape time.
No, unofficially, I definitely have Jordan leading via ride time as we're moving into the bottom of the second of EBIOT. Kamui Anderson on defense, the back.
So now Jordan on offense here. Again, he takes it back at Anderson. What's the most important thing you got to secure and wrap up when you take this back in overtime?
Well, when you take the back position in overtime, you know, you start with a seat belt and 2 hooks, right? And when they say go, it becomes a live go. And at that point, I believe the most important thing is most people do is they lock a body triangle. They're looking to get the triangle in order to maintain hip control.
Look at Anderson.
Anderson able to get the arm all the way across despite the triangle staying locked.
It's impressive.
You don't see that very often. That was just a quick swim move and a hip rotation, hip heist from the bottom of Anderson, and he was looking good.
Now for Anderson going on offense here on the top of the 3rd, we'll see how aggressive he is here.
Let's go.
It's like essentially 9th inning of a baseball game where the home team has more runs than the other team. You don't need to take your at-bats in the bottom of the 9th.
Exactly, and that's why I mentioned earlier, TJ, that's a great analogy when I was talking about why it's important to defer if you win the coin toss.
Right.
Or if you do win the coin toss, to elect to go defense first.
Sure.
Because that puts you at the bottom, which really means you're the home team. So if you're at the bottom, like you said, the bottom of the 9th, and you're winning the 9th inning and you're winning the game, the home team does not need to take their at-bats. And that's the same kind of concept with EBI overtime.
No unnecessary work, essentially.
No unnecessary work, exactly.
Especially when you might have 2, 3 more matches coming up.
Absolutely. And the prize is big as what it is today.
Right.
A spot in the EBI Absolutes in El Paso on the big show. Good hold by Anderson.
So now we'll see if that was enough to offset it or
if we need a bottom.
Right.
I don't know if it's over because I think Jordan, in my mind, unofficially, mind you guys at home, I think Jordan needs roughly 15 to 20 seconds of hold.
I'm really impressed with your ability to do that.
I've just seen enough EBI that I can like kind of do it in my head enough, you know, again, unofficially.
Famous last words, though, when it comes to math, in my experience.
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm no mathematician by any means.
I'm sure I've got money in my bank account. No.
Oh, yeah, those are the good old days for sure. You gotta make choices. And Kamoy Anderson's got to make a choice right here. He's got to try to get out if he wants any opportunity moving forward in this bracket. Not sure how much ride time Jordan needs, but I can't imagine it's more than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But really, that big factor was Kamoy electing to do the armbar in his first round. And
nicely done.
Nicely done. That might be close.
So we're going to calculate that ride time and see where it all shakes out. But fastest escape time will be what we call upon to determine our winner here in overtime.
You're not ready to be a kid.
Yeah, in my mind, I'm pretty sure Jordan has it. Unfortunately for Kamoy, when he was in that spiderweb position, Jordan just got out way too fast.
I think it was sub 3 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Winner by fastest ride time.
So Jordan on his way.
It was 20 seconds difference. 20 seconds difference.
Hey man, how's it feel?
Feels good, man. Wanted to do the trials since I was like a blue belt 4 or 5 years ago. So it's a dream come true to be here and to get a first win is huge. Thank you, Nabil, Eddie, everybody else that pushes me to be good. Everyone at Titan. Thank you guys.
Pat Shigolli, again, I think is the big guy to embrace coming out of that first round. He beat 2 guys in the 4-man runoff, both by submission and regulation. And then he came in and took out the #1 seed, Quentin Rosenweig, in overtime, moving on to the quarters. He's gonna face off against Fedor Nikolov. We saw Fedor hit that heel hook against Art Garcia and move on his way to the quarters. Moving down the bracket, you got Donnie Bryan. He also hit a heel hook against Matt Horowitz in that match, which is a bit of a surprise for me. I don't know about you, TJ.
I mean, Horowitz, a guy that's been around for so long, you know, to be finished by someone who, you know, is making a name for themselves here in this tournament, yeah, it's a little bit surprising, but never say never. We'll see hit a little bit later on. You know, I can't say enough about the young man, the 17-year-old in Pat Shigolli, who, again, has already won in so many ways. Yes, there's more action. There's still a spot in the tournament on the line, but to come out and defeat the #1 seed after winning 2 matches just to get into the tournament,
Oh, incredible.
Cinderella story already.
Cinderella story. He's here. He's visiting from New York. It's him and his dad. They train at 10th Planet Long Island. And, you know, he's a 17-year-old kid, and he's here to prove that he's got what it takes to hang with some of the best of the world. And to be honest, I mean, he's kind of proven it to me at the very least. I think no matter what happens here today, he's going to go home, you know, with a much higher stock rating.
I mean, I'm hoping we see him in El Paso, to be honest with you. Win, lose, or draw in this qualifier. Like, I think he's done enough to at least get a special match.
Yeah, you got to give the kid an opportunity. I mean, we're talking about the next generation of 10th Planet warriors competing, and, you know, he's done a lot to deserve it. That being said, there's a lot of other guys in this bracket who are still alive. Moving down that bracket, you had Wes Levine, who defeated Felix Cordera.
Yep.
And, you know, Wes is a high-level black belt. He's competed quite a bit. He's done ADCC trials and done well there a few times. I know him personally. Then you got on the other side of the bracket, you got Sam Barbosa, who beat Mike Lady in overtime. Sam, I know, was a favorite of a lot of guys that I spoke to personally about this bracket. They had him as the #2 pick behind Quentin. And I know a lot of people, you know, back on the East Coast especially, they're the ones who are watching big over there in Florida. Right below him, you had Justin Turner, who I think is the smallest guy continuing in the quarterfinals. Justin's about 160 pounds or so. He got a heel hook victory over Reynaldo Camacho. And then we got Jonathan Lopez from Tempe, Cancun, who will take on Jordan Strutt, who we just saw take on Kamoy Anderson and defeat him in overtime.
And again, this qualifier for a spot at EBI 20. It is October 23rd in El Paso, Texas, where a potential $50,000 prize will be on the line. Some big-name grapplers there as well. So high stakes, and the road to El Paso goes through 10th Planet HQ here in downtown LA, and it's been a lot of fun this far.
Oh, it's been great. And real intimate setting here. HQ, you know, not a bad day for some jiu-jitsu here on a beautiful Sunday. It's a nice 75 in Los Angeles. You really can't beat it.
You're crazy when you say this is temperate, though. This is warm for me. I mean, I'm sweating a little bit.
I see you misty. I see you a little misty.
I'm glistening.
You're glistening.
Right.
You're glistening right now.
Some might say I'm glowing.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest with you. Like I told you before, this is the coolest it's been in here in the last 6 months for these Qs. I think the last 3 in a row, it's been 100+ degrees in this room. Right now it's probably about 85 or 90, but nonetheless, I mean, it is warm in here, and it's got to have some sort of effect on these competitors, because you're talking about getting more slippery, sweating more, being dehydrated, maybe a little more fatigued. So it'll be interesting as we get into these later rounds past these quarters coming up.
Then we talk about Pat Shigolli a little bit. He's had time to think about what he's done, a little bit of a layoff. Is there any sort of adrenaline dump there? I mean, he's a young man. He's been composed on the mat, but when he starts to sit down and think more and more about what he's done, is that wearing at all, you think?
Yeah, that lull time in between, you know, he had his first 2 matches were very fast. They were almost back-to-back.
Yeah.
Because they did the 4-man runoff before we started the official bracket. But after that, you know, we saw a couple of matches. We saw the Art Garcia-Fedor match. We saw the Horowitz and Donnie match. And then we saw Pat come back in and take out Quentin. So, nonetheless, I think there is something to be said about taking long breaks in between. But I've been watching Shigolli just chilling out, waiting in between his matches. And we've been sitting here, and he doesn't look phased. He looks like every other 17-year-old. He's on his phone. He's got his headphones on. He's chilling. He doesn't look nervous. He doesn't look like he's watching the action too much. So I think he's just doing his thing, and he's in his zone. And man, the way he's competed so far today, I think it is obvious he's in his zone.
Back in action here. This is the first quarterfinal match of our day. We got Wes Levine taking on Donnie Bryan.
Quite a bit of a size difference here. Wes, over 6 foot tall, over 200 pounds. Donnie, not close in either way.
And that's the other thing, too. We talk a lot about weight in an absolute tournament, but just length as well. Like, if you have a long frame, there are, you know, things that you can utilize against a shorter opponent in your guard and do things, especially in that 10th Planet system.
Totally, and not just there, but other aspects such as, you know, your retention from a long range, or even leg locks. You know, you're trying to leg lock somebody who is over 6 feet tall and you're under 6 feet tall.
Right.
Just the length, the way it adds up with your limbs and their limbs, it makes it really hard to apply pressure in certain instances because their legs are just so much longer. Looks like Wes is going for a Kimura trap, kind of loses it. Shout out to Donnie Bryan's rash guard. Pretty cool Yu-Gi-Oh style on the back. I dig it.
Do you have Yu-Gi-Oh cards at home or something like that?
I mean, when I was a kid.
Okay.
Back in the day. I think
they might be worth money.
I think I was going to say my young nephews stole those years ago from it. You know, when kids, they're like, oh, you got Pokeballs? And
of course.
They just raided my mom's garage or whatever, you know, wherever my old stuff was.
Restart here, the center of the mat.
Wes looking like he's breathing, a little difficult. Wes hasn't competed in about a year because he's been out in Tahiti. Oh, Estima lock.
There's the tap, nicely done. Wes Levine securing a spot in the semifinals. He gets the tap of Donnie Bryan. Make it official.
Yeah, I wasn't sure on that.
How do you feel, Bravo? You know, I really wanted to get those advantage points as fast as I could. So I got a good lapel grip. Came up. When I won, came back down. Wanted to ride it out. How you feeling going to the next round? Who? How you feeling going into the next round? Tired, exhausted. I could use a cuddle. Oh, my glasses, damn it. Can you edit those on? Thank you.
Back up at the top of the bracket, it looks like it's going to be Shigolli versus Fedor.
Shigolli looking calm and cool, but now he stands in front of a ice-cold Russian.
That's a perfect description for Fedor Nikolov. Fedor is very Russian.
Very ice-cold.
Very ice-cold. Ice in the veins. Depression you have, Eastern Bloc you must be from. As we say, I got to spend some time in the Eastern Bloc last year in Serbia.
How was that?
It was very Eastern Blocky. It checked off all the marks, but beautiful place, beautiful country, great people, very welcoming. Food was amazing. Serbian food's bomb. And Shigolli in on a leg early, forcing the rotation escape. I got goosebumps right now. I feel like we're gonna see a really high level leg finish in this match. I just feel it.
Shigolli coming up on top position now.
I actually remember training with Fedor once and noticing that he had a horrible staph infection, like in the middle of our roll. And I immediately stopped and walked off the mat and showered and left.
It'll make you go grab for some antibacterial wipes.
I mean, I tried to tell him what was going on,
right.
But his English is not great, so it was to very ill effect. But I told the instructor and was just like, hey, that guy's got staph, I'm leaving.
Shigolli sitting back for a leg.
And then sure enough, 2 weeks later, I see him at Naga breaking some dude's leg. I'm like, oh, I must have got over that staph. Fedor playing a very loose open guard. Neither of these guys have that kind of mentality where they're trying to like break their opponent. I feel like these guys have a very, like, they're just looking to find your one weakness, your one exposure, their one opportunity, and then they're going to try to capitalize on it. Like, it's very slow, 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 and then you see a lot of breaking explosive power come in.
Both men calculated with their approach here on the floor.
Yeah, I expect this to be a kind of a patient match at this point.
Mentioned Shigolli, a blue belt in Jiu-Jitsu. It doesn't really tell the story. How should we look at modern day belt ranks? And, you know, when you see someone at this level competing the way Shigolli is, like, it's almost not fair to call him a blue belt because it gives the wrong impression.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's really just a blue belt because of his age.
Right.
You know, at this point, I think it's pretty obvious that, you know, belts they're kind of silly. Let's be real. I mean, they're kind of silly. They're very objective. There's no set curriculum and standard across the board. So, you know, one person's version of a blue belt.
Right.
You got, you know, Pat Shigolli here. Here's a blue belt, and then you got, you know, maybe a different instructor's got a different version of what a blue belt is or a purple belt.
And for some, you know, Pat Shigolli's blue belt level might be another person's black belt level. They might not be able to progress beyond what someone just scratching the surface is, per se.
Exactly. You know, everyone, and that's, you know, at the end of the day, it's what it comes down to in all of jiu-jitsu. You know, my old coach, Murillo Bustamante, MMA legend, shout out to him. He used to tell us that all the time during belt promotions. You know, he would speak about it that, you know, you're going to see people promoted ahead of you that you tap out, that maybe don't do as good in competition, maybe they don't compete at all, but they're getting promoted based on their potential, where their skill is and how high their peak is in their mountaintop of, you know, technical prowess. And, you know, some peaks are taller than others, you know.
Sitting back. There's a tap, nicely done. Pat Shigolli on his way to the semifinals.
Wow.
The drama keeps growing, the story keeps evolving, and the 17-year-old keeps progressing.
Incredible.
10th planet Long Island. That's not done yet. So I was having a little bit of trouble going inverted. I saw him attacking legs, but from my previous matches I saw he wouldn't attack my legs, so try to bait that leg drag. He turned him, inside heel. Switch.
The 17-year-old Pat Shigolli getting it done. If you haven't been following the story, I mean, get on board because the hype is real.
Unbelievable, TJ. I mean,
what is that, match number 4 for him?
That
now?
is the 4th victory on the day for Pat Shigolli, taking out another highly touted seed in this bracket. Pat Shigolli defeated 2 guys in a 4-man runoff in order to be the 16th seed in the bracket. So he beat 2 guys in the runoff, got to be the 16th seed, takes out the number 1 seed, Quentin Rosenweig, takes out the Russian Stone Cold Killer, Fedor Nikolov, who I think a lot of people here in 10 Planet HQ today had very highly touted on their seed. They would have put him somewhere around 2, 3, 4, 5, somewhere in that area. And Pat Shigolli just finished him with an inside heel hook. That's 3 heel hooks for Pat Shigolli finishes during regulation today, and then the overtime victory over Quentin Rosenweig. Man, Pat is on fire. He is on fire.
We will see him a little bit later on in our semifinals. Now we are into our first quarterfinal on the right side of the bracket. We see Justin Turner on the bottom of Sam Barboza. Side control here for Barboza.
Turner, smallest guy in the bracket left after Donnie Bryan, excuse me, suffered a defeat to Wes Levine. So it's up to Turner to hold it down for the little guys. We gotta, where's our lightweights at here in this absolute? Justin Turner looking to advance out of these quarterfinals. Had a good match against Reynaldo Camacho, right? He was getting smashed by Camacho for a good minute and then comes back to finish him. Good composure by Mr. Justin Turner. And shout out to all you guys watching at home. Thank you guys for following along with us. Make sure you guys are following on Instagram, 10th Planet Network, at the Grappling Network. My personal, of course, is at 666 Jiu-Jitsu. I'm here with my man, Mr. TJ DeSantis.
You got the last name. Good job.
Oh, yeah.
Good job.
Of course, brother. Been watching you for a while, man. It's such an honor to work with you. Thanks for coming out here and doing this today.
It's my pleasure. Follow me at TJ DeSantis. Use the hashtag 10PQ24 for our absolutes. Appreciate everyone joining us. Like Mike said, it's exciting to see this story unfold before our very eyes. Again, the road to El Paso and EBI 20 goes through 10th Planet headquarters for all these athletes today, trying to secure that 10PQ victory, which is a big victory in itself. Obviously, winning the big EBI would, you know, bring the belt and the potential prize money, but to win in a room of, you know, this talent says a lot about the athlete as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, we're here at 10th Planet headquarters in downtown LA. There's Master Eddie Bravo watching every match, front row and center. I mean, there's myself, Michael John, Sean Applegate is here, PJ Barch in the building. Looks like Nabil from Vancouver. I mean, there's got to be 15 plus black belts in here, at least. Capella, Dr. Armand, black belt in the gi. So, you know, it's a room full of high-level guys.
When I got into mixed martial arts, Mike, there were 2 black belts in the entire state of Minnesota.
Wow.
Think about that.
That
you know?
says it all right there. How far we have come.
Riding the side here is Barboza. He steps over. He's got this mount.
Turner being very patient, as we saw in his first match against Ronaldo Camacho. He was mounted for a number of minutes there. Maintained composure, came back on top.
Bit of a scramble here, trying to grab a hold of the neck is Turner.
Turner's dangerous, that guillotine. That's how he finished Ronaldo Camacho in the first round. He snatched up that guillotine from close guard and finished him.
Barboza trying to walk up the body again, settles inside. Turner's got a hold of his neck there. Now tries to switch off to that Kimura, and you saw Barboza almost walking up the body immediately.
Yeah, Barboza did a good job anticipating that one. Getting some instruction from his coach, Michael John, right behind him. Maintaining his composure. About halfway through this quarterfinal matchup. Justin Turner on bottom, San Barboza on the top.
You can see Turner calm, cool, and collect. Trying to bring up his legs here and triangle the head of Barboza. Barboza trying to frame up that Kimura. He's got a good frame on it, trying to step across. Now he's got a really good frame on it. Trying to do that straight arm lock here is Barboza. There's the tap, nicely done. Sam Barboza getting a straight armbar finish of Justin Turner. Punches his ticket to the semifinals.
Tell me how you feel.
Amazing. He's a monster. To step into the absolute fucking savages. Thank you to Eddie. Thank you to God. Thank you to my family at 10th Planet Jacks. A really, really good guy met a really, really good guy that was like twice his size. You know what I mean? And so like, we were having fun, but eventually I was just gonna lay on him and get a grip on the Kimura. He's such a monster. I had to stay away from his guillotine because he finished giants with it, you know what I mean? So no, it was a lot of fun.
Jonathan Lopez taking on Jordan Strutt.
Here we go. Got Jonathan Lopez taking on Jordan Strutt.
Again, our final quarterfinal of the afternoon here in the Absolute Division. Guys content to wrestle here early, hanging on the head here is Lopez.
And the wall is legal. If there's a lull in the action, our referee Scott Ross will separate them away from the wall, but if there's a transition while it's live, it's live.
Haven't seen a get down rule here today, and we don't need one either as Strutt takes a seat and on a leg.
Heel hook attempt here. Good defense by Lopez on the bottom. Good wrestle up.
Nice bit of defensive work there by the 10th Planet Cancun product. Gonna get a restart here in the center. Back on the feet.
Lopez looks intense today. I feel like he has been working hard in Cancun, preparing for this tournament because he looks sharp today. I've seen him compete many times before, and I've rolled with him many times before, and he looks sharp today. He looks in good shape. His wrestling looks sharp. His top positioning, his patience, like, he's looking good.
In this half guard here. We'll call it now in the half. Almost passed through to this full mount. Strut trying to move, trying to keep him in. Now attacking the arm here is Lopez in this quarter mount position. See if he's trying to do this arm triangle. Or what he's looking for. Nice steps over.
Great control by Lopez on top. He's in that gift wrap position. Maintains the mount.
Now going for the arm triangle. Steps off to the side, does Lopez.
He's pretty high. He's pretty high on the jaw. He needs to drop that shoulder back under his chin, but he might also transition into something else, maybe an arm bar. Back to the gift wrap he goes.
Calling up the body now. Locking up the spiderweb position potentially. Bails on it. Tries to go back for the arm triangle, but Strut able to get that arm free. Very patient here is Lopez.
This is a regular cop.
Strut defensive and forced to sort of go along for the ride here.
Lopez doing a really good job of keeping that bottom side underhook. Even though his foot is trapped in the three-quarter mount position right now, TJ, he actually is in a position where he could mount or take the back and slide underneath, as long as he doesn't let his knee get trapped in the half guard, which he doesn't. He turns it into a knee cut right now. I'm a big fan of that three-quarter mount position personally for CJJ and MMA positioning. That's like one of the best spots to deliver damage and not be in a spot where you'll get easily bucked off. You know, you got that foot to kind of wedge and turk down on their leg. Lopez, heavy pressure, stepping over, looking for shin in the belly. Might go to mount, might stay here. He doesn't have Stut's left arm, the underhook, in a position where he wants it yet, but now he does. And now we're going to see a head and arm that's much lower this time.
Just wrapping it up, trying to get the position here.
It looks like his shoulder is still really high, but he might be able to turn this into a back take of some sort.
Lopez very patient, making sure he doesn't give up the position by being too aggressive.
No need to fear, ladies and gentlemen. No one's got COVID here at 10th Planet HQ. That is just some normal 10th Planet noises in the background as Jonathan Lopez maintains his dominant position of the gift wrap mount. And now the heat is rising, figuratively and literally in here. I know my partner TJ is feeling it a little bit.
What do you mean?
Getting a little foggy. Me and TJ both wear glasses for those at home. You guys can't see us, but we're both a little fogged up.
It's not as bad as some of the CJJ and EBI shows I've had down in Cancun where I wear the full suit.
Oof.
That's rough.
Yeah, you're in the monkey suit down there. It looks very professional, though. I kind of want to bring that into my event. It looks good. It's got a nice feel.
I mean, with me, it's kind of putting lipstick on a pig, unfortunately. But, you know.
That's brutal, brother.
You do your best. You know?
Come on, bro.
Eddie Bravo says, come out, call my event. You put on the heavy clothes.
Yeah.
Try to look nice.
Absolutely. Got to present it up. And, you know, we do a good job here at the qualifiers as well. We're not quite as fancy as the big show, but we're bringing you guys here at home this awesome content live and for free as we see Jonathan Lopez on top, go through some positions, almost had the back, ended up in a top half guard.
Trying to come out the back here and try to take the back.
That was a good transition attempt there.
That's really sort of the only glimpse of reversal of fortune that we've seen thus far in this regulation. He's been forced to play the game of Lopez throughout here.
Yeah, Lopez looks really physically imposing, and man, I'm proud of that guy. I trained with him in the past, and he looks to be in great shape today. And he's just very physical. Me and him worked on some wrestling once at HQ a couple hours a few months ago, maybe a year ago now, and he just looks good. He looks like really physically fit and physical, and we can see it happening right here.
How important is wrestling for jiu-jitsu? Because I feel like sometimes you have really high-level jiu-jitsu players that just really don't like to engage in a wrestling match.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that is changing more and more. You know, I think that for a long time, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys did not embrace the wrestling. They just kind of kept, you know, they understood that what they had beat wrestling.
Right.
You know, if we get taken down, we're on our back. You don't know what to do. We do. We armbar. We triangle you. You know, so I think Jiu-Jitsu guys have a habit of resting on their laurels with that. But as you've seen higher and higher levels come into Jiu-Jitsu, the wrestling has increased, just like we see from Jonathan Lopez there with that nice little shuck to the back take, now to the mount of the arm triangle.
He's in business here, breaking off to the side. But Strut again able to get free. Wow. I thought that was a lot deeper than it was.
Yeah, Strut's good defense. And I think, you know, Jonathan might be a little impatient when applying that head and arm because that's the fourth attempt, I believe now. And each time I've noticed him do that, he has been way too high on the head. His shoulder is not underneath the person's chin. It's not dipping into their neckline. It's not going underneath their clavicle. So when you're up that high on the jaw, it's not too hard to defend as long as you're, you know, you got a tough jaw positioning, I guess. And now we've got Jordan getting some instruction from PJ Barch here on the sideline. And if you want to talk wrestling, TJ, you know, and its exposure in jiu-jitsu. Nice back step by Jonathan Lopez into honey hole here, a.k.a. inside Sakaku. He's maintaining double trouble, control of both legs. And let's see if he can isolate that primary leg and get an inside heel hook. Let's see. He's doing a good job right now of controlling that secondary leg. We're going to see a clover, see a Texas cloverleaf attempt. And then we might have to see, that's mostly a pain compliance move there, TJ.
I would comply. Toe hold here.
Toe hold. Ooh, look at his face. Jordan's face almost said it all there.
It said a lot in a very brief amount of time.
It did it not? Let's see if he goes belly down right here. Let's see if Jonathan goes belly down on the inside heel hook roll or if he just passes. He might just be trying to pass right here. Yeah, he is. Good attempt. That toe hold was close.
Very much so. 30 seconds left to work here in regulation.
You got to imagine he considered tapping for a brief moment there.
I tapped. I definitely tapped.
You saw his face, right?
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, I hope the camera got that expression. That was crazy. Way to go, though, for Jordan. Hang tough. He knows what's on the line. He knows he could still win it in overtime. It's anybody's game. Even though the regulation mostly went the way of Lopez and imposing his will. Last second heel hook attempt.
10 minutes in the books. We are headed to overtime. Again, this is our final quarterfinal in this absolute qualifier.
And yeah, to touch back again, TJ, with the wrestling, you know, we can ask Mr. PJ Barch right here, ADCC competitor, made it all the way to the semis, ended up finishing 4th at ADCC this year, but a spectacular build-up leading up to that event. You know, and he's utilized his wrestling better than a majority of people in jiu-jitsu, and he's able to blend it in a style. And PJ's not a guy who's just all wrestling either. He's got a guard, he's got rubber guard, he's got a bottom half. You know, he was on full display at my event, Submission Only Series 7, back in July 23rd. It was about a month before ADCC, and PJ came in and defeated 4 guys via submission, including Chris Wojcik and John Combs, 2 huge names in the sport who are blowing up. And then he had his run at ADCC. So I think it goes to show that wrestling is vital to being a high-level competitor at this point.
He's also a CJJ Worlds finalist as well. So
yes. Oh, and the armbar is slipping out.
Nicely done. Strut Italy to free. So now we're headed to the bottom of the first overtime.
That was a nice attempt there by Lopez. He used the shin break to break the grip of Stut and then go into the armbar. But when you use that type of grip break, it takes pressure off the head because you're removing that foot over the head in order to break their grip, and that does allow a little opportunity for escape. Strut elects for the back and is in a deep body triangle with double underhooks, and I think he's trying to rib crush him to tap him, TJ. It looks like he's trying to tap him with the rib crush.
Trying to roll into it is Lopez.
Lopez looks like he's in great shape. He better be careful here because he can kind of put himself in a twister, which he did.
Oh, wow. Got too aggressive, gets submitted, and that's a wrap. Jordan Stutt able to get the submission in the bottom of the first overtime. He's on his way to the semifinals. Unbelievable.
Lopez had a tremendous game plan in regulation. One little mental slip up in EBI overtime puts himself in the twister on accident. He was in a body triangle, and as he was trying to rotate in, he did not unlock the body triangle. So his hips were stuck, and when he grabbed Stutt's head, he basically gave him a free twister. And that's exactly what happened.
They're going to give it to you. You got to take it, right?
Yeah, you have to. Way to capitalize by Stutt. Congratulations to him.
Let's go, baby. 10P Vancouver. Let's go.
How do you feel, Bravo?
Good, man. 2 down, 2 to go.
What was going through that match? Just a quick breakout.
I got tired real quick in that first couple minutes. Jonathan has really good pressure. Survived that arm triangle for a bit. And at the 5-minute mark, I knew I could push to overtime and just beat him in overtime. Nabil's got the best arm triangle and guillotine in this fucking room, man. These guys aren't gonna arm triangle me. Let's go.
Thank you, bro.
So we are about to get underway for our first semifinal. We will see Pat Shigolli take on Wes Levine. And I had someone come up to me and give me some breaking news. Pat Shigolli is not 17 years old.
Oh, he's not?
He's 16.
Wow.
So he cannot go to a rated R movie.
Wow.
He can only twist people and break off their limbs and choke them unconscious.
I see. I see.
16 years old. What were you doing at 16?
Sitting in my buddy's house after school, after baseball practice, and eating hot Cheetos.
Like you do.
Like, well, 16 years old, man. This kid in here is breaking off full-grown adult black belt elite competitors. These are not kids his age.
Right.
These are not average black belts. These are elite adult black belts that this kid's going off and beating. It's incredible. 16 years old. I mean, I think we're seeing the rise of a future superstar here with Pat Shigolli.
He's 16 years old. He's also the 16 seed that he had to beat 2 people to get.
Man, what a sweet 16 it is going to be for him if he's able to pull this off. But he's got a big bear in his way against Wes Levine.
All right, first semifinal underway. Shigolli immediately takes his seat.
Nice heel flip by Levine. Looks like Levine is not going to let Shigolli get comfortable, and I would say that's probably a smart game plan because Shigolli looks very calm and comfortable at all times. I would like to see somebody really put pressure on him and be relentless in their pressure and their speed, because giving him time to set things up is only going to be detrimental to you.
Grabbing a hold of that left leg of Shigolli is Levine.
Wes is quite savvy at the leg attacks himself. You know, I have seen Wes get countered in leg attacks and get submitted. I have to be honest and unbiased. So if I'm Shigolli and I have that info, I don't know if he does or not, but if I do, I've got to be thinking about getting into my sweet spot, which is the legs. Shigolli with 3 finishes with heel hooks already today.
And we talk about how impressive it is that he's been able to do what he's doing, trying to wrap up another one here.
And here we go into 50-50, Shigolli specialty. He's separating the legs of Wes Levine. Wes Levine's countering him. Wow.
Oh, they're taps. Oh, my goodness. Another one down, just one left to go for Pat Shigolli. He is on the road to El Paso, and he's doing it with style. He submits Wes Levine to make it official.
Right by heel hook, Pat Shigolli.
On to the finals. Just a match, job's not done.
What's game plan for the finals, bro?
The same thing I've been doing the last few matches, leg locks.
So I'm not kidding you, Mike. I don't know if I would let a 16-year-old watch my kid, like babysit. But this 16-year-old is one win away from winning the 10th Planet Qualifier and going on to El Paso to EBI 20 to compete with some of the best grapplers in the world. This is amazing stuff. This isn't just amazing stuff from the jiu-jitsu community. This is one of those sporting stories that, for all intents and purposes, could lead SportsCenter tonight on ESPN.
Absolutely, and it should. You know, the grappling is at that point now where we need to start getting seeing that notion from big coverage, sporting media events. And Pat Shigolli, man, coming out here today, 5-0, 4 finishes in regulation all via heel hook. 16-year-old prodigy, and I think it's just right now we're seeing the unveiling of the next generation. And man, he is just making a huge statement today.
We will see who is set to take on Pat Shigolli in the finals. Our final semifinal of this absolute tournament is underway. We got Sam Barboza taking on Jordan Stutt.
And these two look a little weathered, I'm not going to lie. They've had harder, longer matches. But
Stutt was on the mat maybe 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. Oh, and a nice slide by to the back by Barboza with the RNC grip. That looks tight.
The rear naked choke potentially upcoming.
That's looking tight, TJ.
There's the tap. Sam Air Barboza gets elevation and grabs the neck and brings it home. He's on his way to the finale here at the 10PQ. Nicely done as he wraps up the rear naked choke.
Winner by RNC.
All praise to the Most High. Thank you to Eddie. Thank you to my family at 10th Planet Jacksonville. Thank you to everybody who's just watching. It was an amazing match. I could play no games with you. So.
What's game plan for the finals?
Pat is like very roly-poly. I'm probably just gonna lock up a Kimura and like finish it with the back of the mat. Just because I don't want to play. I want to play chest to chest with them. I don't want to play this outside game people have been playing. But I'm bad with the contact.
Before the finals match, we're going to get a little break. So we have a special match. Armand, here's a black belt in the gi, a brown belt 10th Planet. Only 10th Planet guys say that, black belt in the gi. Nowhere else do they say that shit. Nowhere else. Like if you get your black belt in the gi and you wear a rash guard, you're still a fucking black belt. Right? But only 10th Planet guys go, who is that guy? He's a black belt, but in the gi. Right? Okay, he's a black belt in the gi. Or black belts in the gi who never train no gi, they come to a 10th Planet school, they go, I'm a black belt, but in the gi. Yeah. Right? They say that shit too. So don't leg lock. No. I got ki. I gotta work tomorrow. So we need, how much do you want?
200-ish.
200 pounds. Who wants to, if you want to jump on, you got to be a brown or a black. You want to jump on, special match, no big deal. What was that? You got no whites, okay? You guys get everything. Yeah.
TJ, we just saw Pat Shigolli make it all the way through to the finals by beating Wes Levine. And then we start the match with Barboza versus Strutt, and Barboza, before we even could get into him, slides by Strutt, takes his back, RNCs him, and now he's in the finals versus Shigolli.
Right. And now we got to have a special match because things are just going too fast.
Amazing, dude. I honestly, I'm like so impressed by the level today. I mean, Sam Barboza, I got to be honest, a lot of people told me that he should be one of the favorites. So seeing him in the finals is not too surprising. But man, the 16-year-old wonder kid, Pat Shigolli, we can't stop saying his name.
Multiverse, give it another round. Thanks to Eddie Bravo, giving me another shot. See if I can do a less stupid one with the leg lock this time. God bless. Come back better every day than yesterday.
Switch to base hockey.
Matt Horowitz, always a character. I once saw him fight Travis View in a little town called Medina, Minnesota. And I was lucky enough to be cage side that night. And Travis View hit Matt Horowitz, cut him open, sprayed my future wife with blood. And Horowitz was not out of the fight by any means, but that's when I knew my wife was a keeper because she wasn't upset about the blood that was sprayed all over me.
You took your wife, girlfriend at the time,
correct,
to a little
a very
small
special
town
match for everyone,
independent MMA
okay?
show.
Especially for the 10th Man family. On my right, black belt in the gi, brown belt no gi. Armand Fati. Also, an amazing pianist. Amazing pianist. And he's pretty good at cracking backs too. He's giving discounts, $20, 20, 30, 30.
This 10 PQ special.
First time only, tonight only. Tonight only. You want your back cracked? You gotta sign a waiver. Don't fuck with me like that. Sign that waiver. I don't have nothing to do with this.
Twist it out of the way. Watch the modified twister.
And on my left, a 10th Planet legend.
Let's go.
All the way from Portland, Oregon. Matt Filthy Horowitz. For those that don't know, and that weren't maybe too young, Matt Horowitz is in the UFC, pulling off rubber guard fucking omoplata sweeps. Did it the 2-in-1 fight against Dan Miller. Used mad rubber guard and throughout his career. Tapped out Talis Latis, who was a jiu-jitsu phenom at the time in MMA. Got his back and choked him out. Matt Horowitz been all over the world. He went to Poland. That was his last MMA stint in Poland. Dude, he became a superstar in Poland. Now he's back, and he wanted obviously to win the spot in the Absolute Big Show in 3 weeks, but shit didn't go his way, and now he's got a chance for redemption. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Horowitz, Armand Fati, you guys ready?
Reset to one, set her up, reset to one.
No, I can't do that one again.
No, just set her up.
Set her up.
All right, stage is set. Eddie Bravo called him filthy back in the MMA days. He did go by Suave, Matt Horowitz. he's kind of suave, and if suave meant what Matt Horowitz looks like and is. You know?
Yeah, he looks kind of filthy too. Let's be real. I love Matt. Matt's a funny guy. Met him recently just at the Planet Orange County, but he is a 10P OG, a 10P legend. MMA pro with over 50-plus fights. I mean, the guy just fought everybody and been everywhere and done everything. So to see him here today, you know, still competing, still getting after it is pretty cool. His opponent, Dr. Armand, black belt in the gi. Shout out to him. He's a brown belt in 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, black belt in the gi. And he owns Gracie Laguna Hills in Laguna Hills, California. We host our submission-only series qualifier series at his school out there, Gracie Laguna Hills.
You were talking about the evolution of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu earlier. The amount of high-level, high-produced submission grappling events now, it's incredible. You can compete almost every week.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, really after the pandemic, a lot of more events started popping up. But, you know, you got to hand it out to the two biggest, you know, companies that are doing things for jiu-jitsu right now, without a doubt, is UFC Fight Pass and Flow Grappling. You know, those are really the two major platforms that are giving opportunities to promoters, to athletes, in order to put on these live shows and have, you know, cash prizes for the competitors. So shout out to them for giving us guys the opportunity to showcase high-level elite athletes like this. I mean, at the end of the day, we're watching these guys, you know, and that's who I want to watch. That's why I started a promotion, to be honest with you, is I wanted to do things the way I thought they should be done, and I want to see the guys grapple that I think are badass.
And it's shows like that give, you know, 16-year-old kids hope that, hey, maybe I could go do this.
Exactly, and as we've seen today, Pat Shigolli, that 16-year-old phenom, making quite a statement going into the finals after this match.
But then we also get to see legends like Matt Horowitz go out there and compete. And, you know, Eddie said it, this is a guy that beat Talis Lachis, who, you know, fought for a UFC title in his career. So he's been out there and has beaten some of the best in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to figure Matt Horowitz has been fighting MMA for probably 10 years longer than Pat Shigolli's been alive.
That's true.
So
that's very true.
You know, I mean, for them to be sharing the same mat in the same room on the same day in the same event, it's pretty cool.
I mean, I was telling you, Matt Horowitz spilled his blood onto my future wife at the time. That was more than 16 years ago.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
So,
like you said, that's where you found out you got to keep her. She stuck that one out. And we see Dr. Armand doing a really good job of using his half guard. Dr. Armand's kind of a half guard specialist. He's one of my actually good friends. We hang out a bunch. We speak in Portuguese, which is a broken version of Portuguese to each other, because we both kind of came up under a Brazilian coach for a number of years when we first started our jiu-jitsu journeys. So, you know, we got a lot of the porra in us, caralho.
It makes you very, very happy.
Yeah, it definitely does. So these guys working through the position. Dr. Armand, again, half guard specialist, so I'll expect him to be playing that the majority of this match. And what he wants to do is either get his underhook and wrestle up with like a coyote guard, shout out to Lucas Leitch, or he'll use his lockdown a la Eddie Bravo.
And Dr. Armand actually a doctor too. It's not like a nickname. Like he's a chiropractor.
He is a doctor of chiropractic. Right. And we see a great use of the lockdown. Wow, great use of the lockdown. And he's into this crotch ripper right now. And Horowitz did the right thing by giving up the post and just giving up the sweep, because you don't want to get finished with this. You'd rather just give up the sweep. Great sweep by Dr. Armand. Really good timing with his lockdown.
My brother-in-law is a doctor of chiropractic. So
oh, nice.
I know you got to respect the man and call him a doctor.
He's a doctor. I mean, they went to some sort of school. He's got more school than me. I mean, I'm not going to be over here saying he ain't a doctor. Oh, and a nice attempt by Horowitz on top. Creates the reversal for a moment. Dr. Armand with the nice back take attempt coming up. Maybe a twister attempt.
Armand coming up here on top position.
Armand's got like a really crazy squeeze with his legs, dude. Every time I roll with him, I feel like my shins are going to break because his lockdown is so tight. Like, not my knee. He doesn't mess up your knee.
Right.
He's very technical, but his squeeze with his legs, it feels like he's going to break my shin bone sometimes. So I know right here, like, Horowitz is in top half, technically, and Dr. Armand's got his knees pinched on the quarter guard position. And I'm telling you, like, his pinch is insane.
Might be why he wears the gi pants.
Yeah, he also wears those gi pants for the fact that he's a black belt in the gi. There's one of Eddie and Armand's songs is about Armand being a black belt in the gi, in the fact that he also owns an acai company and he sells acai. Toe hold attempt by Armand. Nothing going.
Scramble for position. Armand comes on the top.
Wins the wrestle up. Good job, Armand.
Gonna get a reset here.
He set under the instruction of Master Eddie.
He set?
Oh, you know.
There's that Portuguese English.
That's Portuguese English,
right.
guys.
Okay.
I told you, you might hear some of that today, guys.
That's good. I like it.
It's really because Dr. Armand's on the mat and it makes me happy.
Happy. Makes you very, very happy.
Make me happy, my friend. If you are offended by this, I do not apologize. I've had to learn Portuguese for real. So
if you're offended by this, I'm sorry. I'll say I'm sorry. I'll roll over quickly on that.
TJ will apologize for us. Yeah.
I can be the official sorry man, you know?
Yeah, it's not the worst. You guys should follow Portuguese. Oh, nice sweep with that rubber guard attempt. I'm not sure how he got Armand over, but maybe he just controlled the far side post. I didn't get a good look at it from my angle. I know the camera captured it very cleanly.
That's one thing I like about the 10 PQ events. You get very unique camera angles as well. You don't get the same sort of view at, say, a traditional EBI or combat jiu-jitsu event.
Yeah, and that's the style of Michael Plaster. You know, not enough.
The legend, Michael Plaster.
Yeah, dude, not enough gets spoken about him. He's really the mastermind behind the qualifiers in terms of organizing things and shooting it, and just his style of being up close with what you guys are watching right now. That is 100% Michael Plaster. You know, you're starting to see some tournaments copying us now, but that's his style. He's the original, and it needs to be said. He's also the head of videography for my event, Submission Only Series. He runs all the videography and streaming process for my event. So he's just the man. He's doing a great thing with the Grappling Network, which is presenting this to you guys today. And bringing you guys some really amazing high-level free content. I mean, to get this level of competitors and to have live editing and all this stuff and bring it to you for free, I mean, guys at home, like, I hope you guys understand.
There's a lot of sacrifice.
It's a lot of sacrifice. It's not as easy as it looks, my friends. You know, everyone thinks the tournament's going to be easy to do or you're in it to make money, but as somebody who does this, it's definitely a passion project.
Oh, you don't just start it and like money stacks up?
Oh,
right?
I'm not making millions of dollars paying out all these athletes. No, definitely not. It's costing me money, but you know, it's okay because we love this sport and it's already given to us so much that, you know, giving the next generation an opportunity to shine, or some old school legend like Matt Horowitz an opportunity to shine, it's really worth it.
Omoplata here on Armand here from Horowitz. Going to use it to come up on top.
And Horowitz got a nasty omoplata, like Eddie alluded to earlier. We've seen him use that in the UFC successfully.
Right.
Sweeping people. Guys, if you're just joining us, this is the special match in between, right before the finals of the 10 Planet Absolute qualifiers. And after this, we're going to have 2 female brackets qualifying for the upcoming Medusa events. So make sure to stick around with us. Share this, post it on your Instagram, tell your friends to log on and watch. We appreciate it.
I'm not even sure if our day's half over yet, to be honest with you, Mike. We might just be getting started.
We might just be getting warmed up. I'll tell you what, though, there's a ton of action coming our way, guys. We have the 125-pound females coming up for the 10 PQs, as well as the 135-pound females. Matt Horowitz in on a Peruvian necktie attempt. Dr. Armand with the great defense of the leg. Elects to give up the sweep to not get out submitted.
Do you know why they call it the Peruvian necktie?
I do. Tony D'Souza.
Come on, very man. Good, very
Look,
good.
I know,
I
know I look young sometimes, but
hey.
I've been in this game since I was a kid, and I love MMA and jiu-jitsu.
I thought I was pulling out one right there that you didn't know.
Me and you got to start texting more. I'm a huge nerd.
We're friends now.
I'm a huge nerd.
We're friends.
Huge nerd. Yeah, Tony D'Souza for those at home. Legend. As this match finishes up.
Matt Horowitz with his little push-up dance there. I like that.
His little filthy dance.
Yeah.
That's a filthy dance, sir.
Overtime now, top of the first. Horowitz is going to go in the back. I think it's a swab dance. Might be a filthy swab dance, though.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Let's just go with it. 1 to 2.
Yeah, there you go. And thank you guys again for joining us. We got over 500 people watching live right now.
You're making me nervous now. Don't tell me things like that.
Just on Eddie's stream alone. So thank you guys so much for rocking with us. We appreciate it.
This is when we give out our Instagram handles. At TJ DeSantis, at 666 Jiu-Jitsu.
Yes, please hit us up in the follows if you like what we do. Make sure you're following the Grappling Network on Instagram, as well as 10th Planet Network on Instagram. These are the guys bringing you all this awesome free content today. Gotta show love. Good escape by Dr. Armand.
So we will go to the bottom of the first now. Armand will go on offense.
I love Armand. You know, he's got like 3 businesses that he owns. He's a chiropractor, he's running a gym, he's got acai companies, all kinds of stuff. And he jumps into tournaments all the time locally, not just here at the qualifiers, but like, as you know, a guy who started jiu-jitsu in his late 20s and got his black belt and all that stuff. It's like, it's really inspiring, dude. It's really cool to see that. And here he is hanging tough with an OG of the sport, Matt Horowitz. Dr. Armand's got a really nice spiderweb control. Good pressure with that right foot across the face. If you can see there, TJ, he's keeping the head of Horowitz pinned. Pressure against it the whole time.
Horowitz let go of his arm for a brief moment, but wasn't penalized for it, but now he might be.
Ooh, looks like Armand's going to get this grip break.
There's a tap, nicely done. Armand gets the win with a submission in the bottom of the first. Wasn't quite the day that Matt Horowitz wanted on the map, but man, it sure was fun to watch him work.
Yeah, what a shout out. Shout out to the legend. I mean, coming in here and banging like we talked about before, this guy's done and seen it all. And it's really cool to see him compete with us.
Armbar no T. Come on, Garcia.
Oh, my goodness.
Reenact it. Reenact it. In another dimension. That's what happened. You take that wrong. Send that.
Let's make that. I'll CGI me with my hand down.
Thanks a lot. God bless you.
God bless, man. I'm a big fan. He's been training 20 years, man, this guy. We have a song, me and Eddie and Charles over there. We jam all the time at Tempe HQ. We have a song about Gogo Plata, about that man. And I've never met him. Today I saw him for the first time. What an honor. It was more than just a match to me. It was a legacy with a good dude. Much respect. Thank you, Eddie, for the opportunity. The game plan was quarter guard and chill. Eddie Bravo, Boiler Gracie 101. And then live and die by that sword, try to get on top. Pass, booster pass, 7 pops up. You know, I got a couple looks at the toe hold off the Shaolin sweep and was trying to back off the knee. Then you do a little Shaolin action, look at totally straighten his leg out. I got the sweep, but I wasn't able to convert in regulation. It was all good. It was good, fun time. Get better from that. Quarter guard and chill was the game. Tempe, like, this is.
Yeah, TJ, I mean, this is it right here. This is what hopes and dreams are built and broken on. Pat Shigolli, the 16-year-old dream kid. I mean, he's been victorious today.
He's already won. I mean, not only like literally won 5 times just to qualify and get to this point, but you know, he's won in so many ways that if he doesn't win this last match, like, you got to believe that this is an overwhelmingly positive experience for him in his jiu-jitsu journey.
Guys, I mean, the reality is we're looking at the next generation today.
All right, in the finals, we got Sam Barbosa from 10th Planet Jacksonville versus Pat Shigolli from 10th Planet Long Island. All right. Ready? All right, let's get it.
All right, the stage is set. Pat Shigolli, the 16-year-old, he takes a seat. taking on Sam Barboza. This is the tournament finale of our 10th Planet qualifier. A slot in EBI 20 in El Paso on the line.
TJ, we have a real opportunity to witness the rising star of Pat Shigolli. He's 5-0 here today. He had to win a 4-man right-off bracket in order just to enter as the 16th seed in the overall tournament itself. And he has defeated 4 adult grapplers, high-level competitors via heel hook today, and 1 win in overtime in order to advance to the finals against Sam Barboza. And man, Pat has just really shown a lot today. He has really made an impression on me, and I think everybody in this room, including Eddie Bravo.
What do you think of the strategy here from Barboza early to sort of, keep his distance and not get in that immediate leg entanglement, which a lot of people have done today with Shigolli?
Yeah, I think it's a smart decision. It's good. It's good from Barboza that he's taking the time in this match. I think he had the more grueling matches leading up to the finals, so I think that's a big factor. He's spent more mat time. Shigolli got a couple of quick heel hook victories in a couple matches. He also had some long matches, but it's probably a good idea to take this out into a little bit deeper water, test Shigolli, not try to dive into too many positions, because if I've seen one thing from him today, it's that he is really good at countering and maintaining composure. Like, he lulls you into a sense of you're safe in the legs, and then he attacks and finishes you. Barboza doing his thing, playing real loose, staying on the outside. The one thing I will say is that when Barboza's walking around right now, he's too tall, right? He's a little too tall. This is going to give more opportunity to Shigolli to enter into the legs, because, when you're standing tall like that, your hands can't protect your legs as well. So there's a first layer of defense that's not being established by Barboza when he stands tall like that. And we can kind of see a little example of that right there. Shigolli got a little foot hook and 2-on-1 in the arm, and Barboza had to kind of explode to get away. So we'll see if that will be a factor later for Shigolli, if he'll be able to pull Barboza to the ground and entangle the legs. Foot control action, backs it out. Like I said, he's playing a good strategy here. I think it's smart. I think he's doing the right thing by staying low and circling.
So it's interesting. This is a position that if it were combat jiu-jitsu, Eddie would punish you for purgatory.
Right. That's right. That is a purgatory position in combat jiu-jitsu. That being said, there must be engagement from the bottom and the top player. When the top player is walking, what Eddie's explaining right now, when the top player is walking around, you want to see some engagement. You want to see hands on the partner, or the opponent rather, and engage in what's going on.
But I think, this is a sign of respect here from Barboza, who doesn't want to get too aggressive or do something, because you cannot make a mistake with Shigolli. We've seen that throughout this qualifier.
No, you cannot. You can't afford to slip up for 1 second against Pat. And interesting take by Barboza to go for that foot. Kind of a questionable strategy.
We're trying to go for the heel hook.
And he's going for the outside heel hook, trying to force the roll through. I got to be honest with you, TJ. Everybody today has entangled with the legs of Pat Shigolli, ended up on the wrong side of an inside heel hook. So I don't know about that kind of strategy. I wouldn't advise that. But, Sam Barboza's confident. He's made it to the finals in his own right. And, he doesn't want to be overshadowed by this 16-year-old phenom. He's got to take it to him and beat him.
It's up to you if you want to play with fire. You're not necessarily going to get burned. But we've seen that more often than not when people test themselves on the floor with Shigolli, they come out the wrong side.
There's an engagement by Barboza. I would like to see Barboza keep both knees down at all times while he's on top of Shigolli. I would not want to be in a one knee up, one knee down position at any point, giving him an opportunity to enter into some attacks. So we will see how it unfolds, but I imagine that Barboza is probably not in a hurry to play legs. Instead, he elects to go on the bottom.
Passing the guard now north-south goes Shigolli. Halfway point of regulation.
Nice invert into inside heel hook position.
Trying to make him pay for the look is Shigolli. Gonna get a restart here in the center.
Is it just me, TJ, or is everyone, now that we're past the halfway mark of this final matchup, is everyone getting a little more involved? The crowd's getting a little more tense, everyone's talking a little more, everyone's getting a little more excited, we're getting a little bit closer to the end.
I mean, this is as high stakes as it gets here. Obviously not the first qualifier here at 10th Planet, but the first for a potential $50,000 prize. Armbar maybe upcoming here for Shigolli. But Barboza wise to it.
Barboza entering the leg game, playing right into Shigolli's strengths, I would say. We'll see. I have not seen a single viable attempt at heel hooking Pat Shigolli. He has rubber bones, as his rash guard alludes to. The boy has some strange feet. There's no doubt about it.
I mean, we all start rubbery when we're small and little, but I think it goes away by the time you're 16.
Dude, by the time you're 16,
right?
I had broken bones by that point due to regular contact sports, you know? Like, I can't imagine my feet bending like that, let alone today. Now I'm all brittle and old, but, you know, he's able to heel slip every attempt at a heel hook today and doesn't even look at all concerned about any of them. You know, he hasn't used his secondary leg for defense. He hasn't used his hands for defense. He hasn't so much as changed his facial expression. So I imagine that he's got some sort of unique flexibility on top of, obviously, a very high technical prowess. As he comes on top, Shigolli, the wrist control, looking to step into the half. Loose game by both guys.
Three minutes left here in regulation. And Shigolli almost is offering his left leg like that. He seems to have no cares whatsoever. Double underpass attempt.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to have any concern. In fact, I feel like at this point what I've seen him do is entice people into the leg game by being very loose, and you know, then he uses that to counter. Barboza even mentioning a moment ago that he's so slippery. Shigolli getting some instruction from his corner, his father. Together they came out here from New York to compete. Kind of a Cinderella story, like you said earlier, TJ. 16 years old, just in the beginning stages of his life, of his career in jiu-jitsu, and he's making a statement.
Yeah, safe to say no matter what the results, we are just starting to see the very beginning of Pat Shigolli. He's going to be on this stage at a high level for a long time to come.
There he goes, giving his foot again. Shigolli just trying to get some sort of commitment from Barboza. I think he's trying to just get him to commit on something and engage himself so that he can counter him. You know, Shigolli's game is not very strike first, you know, from what we've seen. So far, it's been a lot of convincing counters. Winding down here during regulation time.
Back of the feet. Some big wrestling here. Duck under. Now on the back for Shigolli. Big takedown there. Barboza trying to reverse the position. Back take up coming in for Barboza. Bails on it. What a scramble. Nicely done. Inside the final minute here of regulation.
I think we will see the final being battled out in overtime at this point, but what a war these guys had to go through in this bracket to get to this point. Barboza had some tough matches against Mike Lady, Justin Turner, and then Jordan Strud. Shigolli, on the other hand, again, he had to battle his way into this bracket, defeating 2 guys via heel hook just to earn his place as the 16th seed. Takes out Quentin Rosenreich, the top seed. Takes out the Russian Fedor. Takes out Wes Levine. And now we're here in the finals, going to EBI overtime.
And that's what's interesting. You mentioned the win early by Shigolli to take out the number 1 seed. He may very well be on the mat with the number 2 seed here in Barboza as well. So he's had to go through everybody, not just one tough competitor, but the toughest of competitors.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's already proven himself, and like you said, win, lose, or draw at this point in the game, it's a win for Pat Shigolli. 16 years old, banging with all these guys, making it all the way to the finals. And here he is on the back control, leading off the overtime with a body triangle on the top side. Nice control with the body. Now he's attacking with the top arm, but that's going to give some space that Barboza's going to expose.
Wow, big statement there for Barboza to get free.
Slight interruption in the technical prowess of Shigolli there. He made a mistake by attacking with the top arm prematurely. That gave the space for Barboza to start freeing himself and escaping. So we'll see. We haven't seen a ton of...
Oh, he might be in on this choke.
Wow. Barboza with a face crush. Tight on the face. He finished the last one with the same sort of face crush.
See how Shigolli can weather the storm, trying to fight the hands, make some space.
I mean, it is a tough paint.
Oh, nicely done. Shigolli rips himself out of there. And in a time that's somewhat comparable, I don't know how much time is separating these two, but now we're headed to the top of the second. We'll see how Shigolli readjusts his offensive half of this overtime. Top of the second now.
He's got that same over-under, seatbelt control. We'll see if Shigolli manages to maintain some more ride time or if he's looking for more of a finish, because it is very close, like you said, TJ. There is no way to know for certain if we're going to go 3. So is he going to go for broke? Shigolli doing the right thing this time, maintaining control, looking to lock up his body triangle a little bit tighter, which he does. Now he's got the double unders. It's going to be much tighter to escape here. Oh, we may see a little backpack attack. As long as Shigolli can keep...
Oh! Big escape there again by Barboza. So now we're headed to the bottom of the second overtime. I feel like we're almost in a bit of a race here, Mike.
Absolutely we are. I mean, it is neck and neck, literally and figuratively.
Ready, set, go.
Barboza on the back.
Oh! Wow. Wow. That is exactly what Shigolli needed.
Shigolli not trying to wait. He's trying to get set up right away. He wants to ride this momentum to a victory.
Top of the third overtime, the final offensive period here for Pat Shigolli. Gonna have to make it count. Trying to move quickly.
Oh,
and wow.
Wow. Just when you thought it couldn't get any closer, TJ, Barboza escapes incredibly fast. And now we're in the bottom of the third. You're not supposed to.
You got to believe that if Shigolli twists free quickly, he could win this. Time, though, could be very short.
I think we're in less than 10 seconds, TJ. Wow. Still on the back. Still on the back.
Barboza's still in there.
Still on the back.
Going. It's a rodeo here inside 10th Planet HQ, and he's free. Now we need to add it all up. Huge drama here in downtown Los Angeles. A spot on the line at EBI 20 hangs in the balance. Get out your calculators, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to find a winner. This is the most nervous I have ever felt at an EBI event in my entire life.
What a performance by both of our competitors today. Win or lose, you got to give it up for these guys. They really came out and showed their heart and determination. One of them is going to represent 10th Planet at the Absolute EBI show, and it looks like it is deadly close as we will be announcing our winner.
We're going to double check because got to make sure that we get this right, but it sounds like we are seconds away, which really emphasizes that last sequence of action in the bottom of the third. I mean, it was a rodeo. Barboza was going for a ride on the back of the bucking bronco.
38 seconds.
Wow.
So if I...
My ride time.
Oh my goodness! Pat Shigolli is on his way to El Paso. It doesn't get any better than that.
You guys didn't know my dad was the first TJJ. He got invited. I had to make my way to qualify and win it all, but thank you.
Oh yeah!
Yeah, we did that. Thank you, everyone. Everyone back home watching. I couldn't do it without you guys, you know. I teach full-time. I left school just to do this full-time. I'm only 16, blue belt. This is just the beginning. It's just my chapter in the book. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, all my coaches, my dad, everyone. Honestly, I thought I lost, but I tried my hardest, you know, until the last second. But thank you, everyone. I could have done it without you guys. Love you guys.
Not expected. You know what I mean? Dude, nobody expected that shit. People thought Quentin maybe.
I got all the number ones.
Yeah, dude. Congratulations. It's gonna be fucking awesome. See, now you're to another level now. You're going to another level. Trials is one thing. The big show is another thing. You got to really remember that. Remember that. Take this conference. It's not only got some animals. There's some fucking straight monsters up there.
Take it all of them out. Eddie, just competing with all the bigger guys. I'm ready to shock the world, you know. This is just the beginning for me, bro. Like, this means the world to me. I saw my dad compete on there his first time a couple years ago, and I'm like, oh, I want to be there. He got invited. I had to make my way through there, competing against Quentin, Derek Rayfield, Sam Barbosa. Killers. I got 4 submissions and 2 OT wins, but those OT wins, I had to work my hardest for that. But once again, everyone at Tempe LI, I love you guys. Appreciate it once again.
TJ DeSantis along with Mike Wilson, and we are pleased to be joined by the 10th Planet qualifier winner. He's on his way to El Paso. It is Pat Shigolli. Pat, Mike, and I watched every step of the way. 6 matches, 4 submissions, 2 wins via overtime. And this is one of the most unlikely stories, I think, in sports, in combat sports for sure, but in sports in general. You're 16 years old, and you just beat a field of some of the most badass men you can.
Oh, yeah. I was, my self-esteem was really low, especially knowing I just got put into a 4-man bracket with Derek Rayfield, so I was really, like, scared and nervous, but, you know, I kept my composure. My dad was there. I got all the submissions. I was really surprised to finish Derek with Aoki, but fought Quentin. Quentin's a really good friend of mine. He did a seminar at my school a couple of years ago, but that was a really good back-and-forth match. He's a black belt, and just like all leg locks, I really told myself I really wanted to hit upper body submissions, but I'm really glad I passed the guard, you know, hit some bolos, hit some back takes, but I couldn't really do it without all my family and friends at Tempe, Long Island.
Wow, incredible. Pat, I got to ask you, you know, what was your mentality coming into this qualifier? I mean, like, what were you thinking? You're 16 years old, you're a blue belt. You know, I've seen you compete quite a bit because I'm a jiu-jitsu nerd, but, you know, a lot of people, they don't know you, and you're in a bracket with, like, number one, all these adults, all these black belts. Some of these dudes got big names, like you said, Derek Rayfield. Like, okay, so, like, what was your mentality coming into this?
Honestly, like, even if I lost this, I would have been just, like, happy for myself, proud of myself, just for, like, I know no one else is doing it at my age and my rank. No one's just putting on a show, just competing at all these high-level tournaments. You know, I quit school just to pursue my career and do this for like a lifetime, and now it's finally coming true. Like it's been like less than a year that I've been out of school, and I've already accomplished so many goals of mine, and this is just like just doesn't feel real to me anymore.
And think about that fact alone, that you are committed to jiu-jitsu in this fashion. You know, some people might argue maybe quitting school is not the best idea, but the idea that it's even a possibility for you, because you're going to be going for a potential $50,000 prize. Like, you yourself are a business in so many ways.
Yeah, I'm fucking ready, you know. I'm ready to shock the world. I'm ready to there was a bunch of upsets I did today with Quentin, Barbosa, Rayfield. I'm ready and excited to do it on the big stage against these whole high-level opponents.
How much longer are the upsets, though, if you keep doing it?
I'm ready to take out anyone. I tell everyone, like, I'll fight anyone, any rank, any weight, and I'll fight Gordon. Fuck it.
Well, I think after today, dude, the next generation is you're part of that. You know, you got guys like the Rotolos and Colabate and those type of dudes, and I think you're on that par where we're seeing you compete against these high-level guys in these world-class shows and not only hold your own but submit them and pull some big upsets. So tell me, how do you feel? You know, you're a winner now. You won the qualifiers. You're going to represent 10th Planet at the actual EBI Absolutes. Like, what's your first thought? Now I feel like it's probably just barely hitting you, but what's your first thought? You're going to go into a huge tournament live on Fight Pass. Like, what are you thinking?
Honestly, all the stress is relieved. It's like, honestly, just how like ADCC trials is, you know, just getting to that big stage is just like, just happy for me. Like, win or lose, I'm a part of this, you know. I'll take a match with anyone on that big stage, you know, Kyle, Bodoni, you know, Roosevelt Sosa, anyone in there, I'll be happy. Even if I win or even if I lose, I'll be happy to myself just being on that stage with everyone and being like the same rank, or not the same rank, but like being on that same level.
You're on the same level as them. Yeah, 100%, man. There's no doubt about it. You proved that today. You won your spot. You earned it. It wasn't given to you, and there's no doubt about it. You belong on that stage, and that's exactly where we're going to see you next.
Hell yeah. Quick shout out to my sponsors, Rubber Bones and Samurai Suds, and just everyone back at home watching me. Steve, you know, Frankie, Vanny, Joey, just everyone at home just watching me and representing 10th Planet Long Island.
Dude, I have to ask real quick before we wrap this up. What is up with your feet? Are your feet insanely flexible? You were blowing my mind the way you were defending inside heel hooks with no secondary leg or your hands. Like, you were just heel slipping over and over, and I was like, how is he doing that with zero other defense?
Honestly, during quarantine, I kept training with me and my dad and just a couple of our guys, you know. I was still a little young by then, but just them just ripping submissions on me, ripping leg locks. I got my legs basically just formed into like slipping and just defense, and honestly my ankles has been popped like multiple times. My knees are
okay.
It's not good for my age, but you know, honestly, anything to get there.
Okay, whatever it takes, man.
Hell
you know?
yeah.
That's honestly what it takes. And you've seen guys, you know, who have committed a young in life such as yourself, and that's exactly what it takes, is whatever it takes attitude. And congratulations to you, man. That was an incredible performance. You
Thank
have
you again.
Every reason to hang your head high after today.
Well, we can call him the next gen. We can call him the future, but on October 23rd, it's quite possible the future may have arrived already, and it's headed to El Paso. His name is Pat, and he's coming for everybody at EBI. Pat Shigolli, appreciate the time, sir.
You guys can call me the Adult Slayer or Goop.
There you go.
I'll call him whatever he wants. I'll call him the 10th Planet Qualifier, and we'll see you here in El Paso.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. And TJ, what a Cinderella tale we have witnessed here today. Pat Shigolli. I'm at a loss for words of what we just witnessed.
You couldn't have written it any better. I mean, that was a movie. That was the first jiu-jitsu action movie we've ever watched come to fruition here in just unbelievable way. You know, there's that old saying that the truth is stranger than fiction, and again, I don't think you could have written it quite like this.
Man, it was written in the stars. There's no doubt about it. You got a 16-year-old kid coming out of nowhere.
I don't even think he can book his own travel to El Paso.
No, he can't. Can he even get on an airplane alone?
I don't know.
Sure. 16 years old, comes out here with his dad, flies across the country, is in the four-man runoff just to get into the bracket itself, gets 4 submissions in regulation, 2 in overtime to claim the final spot for 10th Planet to represent in EBI, the Absolutes. He's going to the big show in Texas, and man, I honestly, like, if you saw this in a movie, TJ, I kind of feel like it'd be like, oh, this is too corny. There's no way. There's no way that happens in real life.
Unbelievable. Pat Shigolli on his way to El Paso where he's going to vie for a potential prize of $50,000 and status unlike any other in submission grappling. And Mike, I honestly think it's safe to say that he's already etched his name in submission grappling lore.
100%. You know, the offers are going to start coming in for this kid. People are going to want to see him grapple more and more. There's no doubt about it. We got a superstar in the making on our hands here. I can't wait to see this kid compete more. I can't wait to see him at EBI. On UFC Fight Pass. Shout out to everybody who's made this one possible. It's really incredible. Master Eddie Bravo, Michael Plaster, all of our crew. Thank you guys.
Mike, I appreciate you welcoming in myself here to 10PHQ for this qualifier. It's an evening I will honestly never forget.
Yeah, thank you so much, TJ. It's an honor to work with you. Shout out to everyone who's made this possible. Again, thank you to the Grappling Network for presenting this free content to you guys. Make sure to follow them on Instagram at the Grappling Network, as well as 10th Planet Network. Both these guys are the main driving force behind the qualifiers and Eddie Bravo. I'm Mike Wilson. We got my boy TJ DeSantis here.
Yeah, so for Mike Wilson, I'm TJ DeSantis. We'll see you next time for the 10th Planet Qualifier.